one crazy mother named Ice Cube. From the gang called Fellers with Attitudes. When I'm called off, I got a soda. Squeeze the trigger and bodies are hauled off. You too, boy, if you with me. The police are gonna have to come and get me off your ass. That's how I'm going out. For the punk mother, they're going out.
How are you supposed to follow that intro?
The thing is, I do stupid stuff. I'll sit here and I'll watch something or I'll see something and I think I'll do that. Do you know what I mean? And our side will probably go, why? And why not? You know?
Why not?
But anyway, hello, David. Hello, Jesse. Oh, this is going to be awesome tonight. Welcome to episode 4 of Top 5 in Your Collection. So I was going to do this as, like I say, I thought I'll try this and do it as one off. But for me, the feedback has been absolutely brilliant, and everyone's really enjoyed it. And then it's the stories and so forth that go with it. So I really appreciate you both coming on. How easy was it for you to find your top 5? I'll start with you, Dave.
Actually, not that easy. And
yeah,
I decided that I'm not going to show any action figures.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So I picked stuff that some of it you might have seen before, but I picked stuff that I fondly remember from my childhood. It may have been mine, or it may have just been in the house. So that's what I've gone for today.
Oh, what about you, Jess?
It was very difficult. I have a very small collection comparatively to others in the community. It's very curated to specific things that I enjoy, certain lines. But having a small collection is just as difficult as having a large one to pick from, because everything has a bit of meaning and a story, and it's hard to decide what do I want to talk about today.
Yeah. It's like what your top 5's about. We've had people that have come on that strictly have gone for like, I've had a few people behind the scenes saying, well, what kind of top 5? And I left it to the people that have come on over the simple reason some people like gifts and they've done like our side said an honorable mention about the people giving him gifts, and that means something to him. Would you class it though as an emotional thing, your top 5? Because you look around, Des once said, and on the first one, he said, you could have me on next week and I'd have a completely different top 5. Is that how you two would look at it as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
I could do a different top 5. Yeah. I could do top 5 really crappy figures.
Emotion does play a role in a lot of the things I'll be showing today. But this is a silly example. I could have also just shown silly things like Jack-specific Pokemon, because they just make me smile, and that's literally the entire story.
Exactly right.
And the show would be 5 minutes long.
But that's the thing, though. I mean, that's where this came across. I wanted to make sure it wasn't like Tub Thumpers, and Tub Thumpers is stuff you've put away, and do you know what I mean? It's stuff that you can't let go of. But it's funny how plastic things we have such an attachment to. Do you know what I mean? And it's like I've said it before on ZSR plenty of times. I always look at toys. It's like pieces of music. You always know where you were and what year it was and who you were with. It gives back so many memories and so forth. But and let me ask you both a question, especially for you, Dave, because you've been on YouTube now for a while, and obviously you've evolved and you've got bigger and bigger. When you're going out, and this is for both of you in a way, when you're going out to buying this stuff, are you strictly now finding stuff you had as kids, or has it moved on from that, like stuff you would have liked as kids? And
I think when I first started collecting vintage stuff, I actually went for my childhood bits first.
Yeah,
that's what I went for first. Yeah, for sure. And I remember there were things which I were in my memory, but I didn't know what they were called. I just knew that there was a certain color or shape and stuff. So I do the research, and after a while you go, that's it, that's the thing. And then you got to go and find it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that
right.
was it. Yeah. Now it's just weird stuff basically.
It's strange. We went to pick up some furniture at a thrift shop a couple of weeks back, and as I'm walking through, we had a mum rod, the old red mum rod. Do you remember the one that the old man with the staff?
Yeah.
And he wanted $8 for it. So I'll buy that. But then I came home, and I'm saying this about the research you were saying, because I did never realize that was a mail away figure. That wasn't a figure that was. We had that as kids. And we played with it, but when I came home, because I went on eBay to see if I can find the staff for it. Comes with a staff. So I wrote in Mumra, and everything's coming up the big Mumra one. You remember, like the greenish, bluish one, the big one. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah, yeah.
why am I not finding this? So I went onto Google, and it says it's the mail away, and then so I wrote mail away in eBay, and they all came up.
They all
So I
come,
don't
yeah,
know what you mean
yeah,
by the research, how everything
yeah.
comes up.
My,
Is
my
that
dad
what you?
always, yeah,
Go on.
my dad always used to say to me, if once you put the right keywords in, you can find anything on the internet. Well, I don't know what he was looking for, but you know.
Not always in the order of helpfulness.
Oh, that's brilliant. What do you mean, Dad? Wait till your mum goes to bed. Oh, that's superb, Dave. Is that the same for you then, Jesse? You pick, because, like I say, you've got a smallish collection, but when you do go out and stuff, is it specifically stuff you had as a kid, or is it stuff that you wanted to have as a kid that you're picking up now?
It started off as a few things I had as a child and evolved. So I only had a small collection about the time COVID came around. And then, like a lot of other people, I started collecting because I was spending more time at home. I was meeting people online in the similar space. Expanded the collection and then stepped back and said, hold on, while a lot of this is really nice, especially a lot of the childhood stuff, why do I want it right now? And I actually sold off a lot of that. And now, instead of looking for the stuff I had as a kid, which I have those pieces that I really want to keep, I'm more focused now on why do I like this specific thing? Because I love micro machines. And so now I have the childhood ones. Now I'm just collecting more micro machines because it's not necessarily the item, it's the line, it's the nostalgic feeling of seeing that logo and hearing that man speak really quickly. And so I'm not looking for.
I remember the adverts. Yeah, it was the fastest looking guy, wasn't it? Yeah.
So it's not.
I know that.
So yes, I have a few of the pieces I had as a kid.
Yeah.
But I've narrowed it down to a few lines that I collect because those lines are what make me happy. There are toys I had as a kid that I just looked at and said, this was fun as a kid, but I don't have a connection to it now.
Got you. That makes sense. Let's have a look who's here. Pod Racing Palpatine has come to see us. Our Des has come to see us. Our Zoe, Ricardo's here. Oppie's here. Gap's here. Look at this. Everybody's turned up. Let's have a look. Keith's nice. Hi, Keith. Nice to see you. Travels with Jason's here. Cap, I've already said hello to. Jonathan's here. Connor's here, but I can't see his name, but it says hi, Connor. So we'll say hello to Connor. I think Connor's watching on his TV because he told us all off in the group, didn't he? I'm not writing hello to everybody and so forth. Kieran's here. Hi, Kieran. Oh, there he is. Right there. Hi, Connor. Let's have a look. Who else is here? Cat Knight's here. Good old Cat. Wow. Everybody's turned up. Unbelievable. Cat Knight, Connor. I'm just trying to get back because you know what I'm like. I win. Yeah, what an intro that was, Cab. Well, I'll come up with something else as well. You know what I'm like.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Did you watch his auction on Sunday? It was good. I got a bargain. I got a $5 Black Series.
Nice.
I was watching all these people go 110, 120, 150. What did Shabby spend? A $5. You know what I mean? No.
I missed it. I was
good.
Doing Barbie.
We did it for 5.5 hours because I'd gone out. I was watching it in the morning. And then I just came back and I eventually saw that black. Oh, I thought you get that. And then when I was still out and came back, he was still on. I thought, wow. So he did a great job. So yeah, he got some people got some bargains though, some real.
Oh, I bet they did. Yeah.
So, it's funny how you can see his Andy just comment as soon as he's printing Star Wars. Andy Lemire like, no. Let's have a look then. Let's see what he's got. TJC, happy birthday by the way, TJC. Yeah, it was your birthday recently. Let's have a look. Georgie's here. Hi, Georgie.
Hey, Georgie.
Adam's here. Wow, everybody's turned up. This is awesome.
Micro Machines buddy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you'll love it. He's a big fan of his Micro Machines, isn't he? What did he say about it? Georgie, did you have a nice night off last night? Well, okay. Oh, Marky D's here. Hi, Marky D. I'm not to ask you both a question because I know primarily you're both vintage collectors and so forth. And the nicest thing for me is I've never classed myself as one as the other. I'll pick up what, if I find vintage, I'll have it. And I'm a big modern fan, with the Mo2 and the Black Series and so forth. But it seems like now the retro Ghostbusters all came out and we've got all of them. And the Transformers are doing reissues and the Mask obviously is coming back. Mm-hmm. How do you I've always wanted to ask, like, mainly vintage collectors. How do you two feel about that? Do you think it's taken the bottom end out of the vintage stuff? Because I'll give you an example. I always watch like a Reynolds video and look at the mask. The mask is fantastic. But then you hear things like, got to be careful with it though, because it's a bit brittle. Or if you're going to pay twice as much if you want it complete in the box. All of a sudden now there's another one for $75 coming, which is exactly the same thing. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, I'm going, this is awesome then, because now I can get it without, if it breaks, I'm not bothered, that kind of thing. But how do you two feel about it? So I'll start with you, Jesse. How do you feel about reissued vintage stuff?
I don't have any particularly strong opinions about it. If they put it out and people want to buy it, that's fine. For example, it's of the similar vein, but one of the toy lines I collected, I was seeing if I had one next to me. Oh, I do. One of the lines I collected when I was younger was the Action Fleet.
Right.
And today, Jazzware now puts out a very similar line called Micro Galaxy Squadron. And I was in an Action Fleet group where we collected primarily this 90s stuff. And about half of us said, it's cool, but we don't need it. Another half of us said, yes, it'd be fun to incorporate it. I sort of fall in the middle. If there's pieces I like, I'll bring it into the collection. If there's pieces I'm not interested in, I just pass on by. I don't have a very strong opinion, which I know for the internet is a very strange opinion to have in its own right, but I just let people do what they want. I don't go looking for reissue lines. I have the stuff I have from the 90s. There's a few modern things. I mean, you could see the big modern thing behind me over there.
Yeah, Dragonfly, yep.
Yeah, which I guess is kind of a reissue. But I don't have...
Yeah, it's kind of is, but it's like done for a different line.
Yeah.
What about you, Dave? Do you think? Hang on, because like I say, it's becoming more and more. You walk down there at Toy Hall in 2025, and it just looks exactly like 1985 to me. So
yeah, exactly. Well, you know who it's aimed at, right? It's aimed at
me.
People are like us. Yeah. Yeah. I look, honestly, I can't get too excited about it, but I do appreciate it. Like, the new Mars stuff. I think it's great that they are finally redoing some of them, but I probably won't buy any because I'll just buy the originals if I can.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same for most lines. I'll probably just stick with the originals. But if there are extensions to the line, like the indie line, for example, they added some figures, I'll jump in on those. So I don't mind when they augment, but yeah, I'm not going to run out and buy modern equivalents of vintage because I haven't got any space. So I have to focus. It's all about focus, right? So I just focus on the vintage. Yeah. If I started collecting loads of different modern, not that I haven't, obviously I bought the new Robo Skull. That's modern, of course. I do have a few modern bits around, but on the whole,
it has to be something like that though for you, doesn't it? It has to be specific. Like this is what I want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But on the whole, I'm not going to go out and buy re-releases. I actually think it's interesting because some lines get re-released right over and over again, don't they? They just reiterate and keep going and going and going. I couldn't handle that. It would just be it'd be like, well, I've already got one variation of this. Why do I need another 15 that they're bringing out and bringing out? I can't be bothered with that, and I can't be bothered with all the hassle. Like even now, right? People putting pre-orders in, and Hasbro's cancelling them again, aren't they? I think.
It happened with the retro collection over here.
The retro collection,
all done and dusted. Yeah.
And then just not being able to buy Masters of Universe and stuff like that. Man, that's too much. That's too much stress for me.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a YouTuber called Geek Dad Live. I don't know if you've heard of him or you know who he is. Well, he used to do a podcast with a guy called John, and John was always on it, big Masters of the Universe guy. Well, he opened a store here, literally 10 minutes away from where I live, called Hero Source Toys, and he's doing his 2-year anniversary, which you can't believe already. But it's nice because you go into his store. I took pictures and I've put it in the group. What a really nice fellow he was. But every time I go in there, I buy. He's one of the he's official licensee to sell the new Motu,
Right,
which is
right.
great because it kind of died off in the stores a bit, but he's still carrying it on. But he also has a lot of vintage stuff. So every time I go in there, I buy a vintage Masters of the Universe, and one of the nicest things he does for me, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because, for example, yesterday I bought Whiplash, and Whiplash came with his red staff and he came with his comic, and he's under $20. And I'm like, that's awesome, because I think for me, if I, for example, bought the Rhino mask when it's missing the missile or it's missing the gun, I'm like, I'm not a person that's going to sit on eBay looking for the missiles. I like it to get it complete. So one of the nicest things that he does as well is so when you see it, you're not just buying a Whiplash, then I'm coming home and looking for the staff, or I'm looking for the comic or whatever. So I think that's what it's good for me. But I like your attitude.
Right?
I like your attitudes about it. Because
Yeah.
I remember in the 90s, do you not remember when they did Star Wars did a retro 4-pack in the 90s? I think it was 95. And they did the original first 4, and everyone went mad about it. Yo, you can't redo these figures.
Mhm.
So this is a 30-year-old thing, but now it seems to be just accepted now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that how you look at it?
I think it's accepted because a lot, I think, like you say, you go down the aisle now and you see all these different lines. I think it's because people are just buying them because actually the lines they're going into now are probably a little harder to get hold of, and maybe quite pricey and stuff like that. So I can see why people do go for it.
Especially something. Sorry, Dave.
No, go on. Go ahead.
Something I'm thinking now of the Playmates Turtle line that has been coming out the last couple of years.
Yeah,
I was a big Turtles kid. I watched some of those videos by, Ed's Retro Geek Out and such, where they're spending a lot of money and time trying to find little pieces to make their figures complete. If I today were gonna go back into collecting Turtles, I would love the Playmates line, the reissue.
I've got them. Rob Repshaw sent me some of them. They're really nice as well. They're really nice figures.
They're, as far as I understand, the plastic will last a bit longer. You have all the accessories, all the the cardboard. And I think for someone who just wants to get back into it and doesn't want to go through all the stress, and not everyone lives near a place they could do searches. I live in the Rocky Mountains. A lot of people are moving out here in the last couple of decades. That means we don't have a lot of old stock.
Yeah.
If people open a toy store, they have to go out somewhere else and bring it all in. You can't go and find things secondhand out here.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me it's nice though, because it's like there's a certain few lines that I loved as kids, but I haven't got the passion to get it vintage now. So in other words, when they brought out the real Ghostbusters and it's the same packaging, excuse me, and the same look, they're $7.99 over here or $14.99. That's a lot better than $100. So sometimes it gives me a good thing to get a nostalgia thing back without breaking the bank for me. Do you see what I mean? So in a way, I kind of like I always. We went to Joe Fest last year, and I was determined to get a Return of the Jedi Luke on card. I thought I'll treat myself and get an actual vintage one. There was one you couldn't even see the thing; it was so yellow. Honestly, it could have been anybody in there. And he weighed 350 quid, and I'm like, but then the retro ones came out, and I know it's not the same thing, but to me, it gives me that nostalgia buzz. Like, oh, and the other thing is as well, because we've talked about this a few times before, you'll get someone go, oh, that's awesome, stick it on your shelf, and you're immediately on to the next thing. So sometimes I think, maybe I shouldn't be spending that.
I like the hunt for all the accessories and all the original. I like all that stuff. Like, so for example, the Rambo Strike headquarters, I found the box and the sort of core of it underneath a dealer that I know there, and it's like, oh, I've got to pick that up, and it was like really cheap actually, but it was missing a lot of stuff. That Rambo headquarters has got, I know, it's got over, I counted them once, it's over, I can't remember what it was, over 130 pieces or something in that set.
That box is massive. Scuba got it, I think last year, and he it looked massive on him, and he's 6'5", isn't he? He's like, whoa, look at that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I loved the hunt. I spent, I don't know how many years just picking up all the bits and pieces, and then finally I got the last tiny little bit. It was a sight for one of the guns. That was the last bit I needed. It was tiny, and for me that was well, I prefer that, Dave. It's like when I go to, like I say, flea markets or conventions or thrift markets, and I see little pieces here and there. If I'm out, I'll
pick them up, even if I haven't got the figures. I think, oh, someone might need that, or I've got it, or whatever. I think it's for me, it's online. Do you know what I mean? Going online and doing it on eBay, it's like, oh, you know, because so it's like I said, for example, that mum rock cost me $8. The cheapest stuff I found for it online was $25 plus shipping. I was like, wow, that's twice as much as the actual figure.
Yeah, people do put ridiculous money on accessories.
Oh, Matt's collections here. But anyway, that's awesome. Let's get on with it. So we'll start with your honourable mentions. So I'll put our Dave right there. What is your honourable mention, David?
Oh, am I starting? Well, as I said at the beginning, just in case anyone missed this, I'm not going to show any action figures. That's all. Everyone's going to go away now.
Thanks, Dave. It's just gone down.
But I thought I'd pick stuff that I just had fond memories of as a child, either things that I had or things that were around the house that my dad had, maybe. And this first honourable mention was my dad's, basically. So I remember when I was younger, he was, I'm not going to say obsessed, but he did have a love of trains, but not modern trains, which would have been like diesel trains at the time, but steam trains. Yeah. And he would have steam trains all over the place. So in the living room, he had a massive model of the Stephenson's rocket in the living room on the sideboard and stuff. And he had a massive collection of Hornby trains that he wanted me to keep, because he didn't want them sold. So he gave them to me to keep. So I've just got a couple. I got them down from the loft. So this, for example, and my dad, he kept everything in immaculate condition, the boxes, everything. So this is, what's this one? The King Edward I. And the weird thing is, part of it kind of wore from me as well. So we would go, one of the favorite places we would go is the Railway Museum in York. I don't know if you've been there.
I think I've been there. I think I have been there. Yeah. And
it had a lot of trains, a lot of the sort of old steam trains and the rocket kind of replica there and stuff. So yeah, we would go to York for holiday, and then that would be a good place to go. So this is the Mallard, which was, I think, the speed record holder of the time. I've just picked up all these random facts from my dad about steam trains. So that was the Mallard. So if I just show what it looks like inside, these things, I mean, you talk about the quality of stuff these days. Look at this. Look at it. It's just ridiculous.
Wow.
Different world,
the detail,
Different world.
The detail in these things. This is 1978 and 79, I think.
They weigh as well, don't they, Dave?
They do.
Toys,
yeah. I don't think this one, I don't think my dad ever used this one on the track. I think this was just in the box and kept like that.
I've always had a fascination for trains, always. And I remember there was a TV show over there called The Great Model Railway. And I used to watch that. I used to get it on YouTube, though, because they never showed it in the States. And then obviously Scuba's dad's got this big layout in his house.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And I think, do you think it comes from basically people like your dad as well? When we were kids, the biggest thing for collecting, I would say primarily, was trains, wasn't it? Everyone did trains and had train tracks and so forth.
The trains and the old die-cast cars and stuff, and those little. My dad always had loads of those little lead kind of soldiers. Do you remember those as well?
Oh, I do. I remember Britons for them as well.
Yeah,
I remember
all that. Yeah,
I like the cowboy and Indian ones.
Everybody should know the Flying Scotsman.
So, what year are we looking at on these, Dave?
These are probably late 70s, I would guess. Yeah. And I mean, every box. I mean, up in the loft, there's like 100 or so of these boxes of trains, carriages, just all sorts.
And you're not going to let them go, are you? You're keeping these bad boys.
No, they're not. They're not going to go. But his favorite train of all time was the Stephenson's rocket. And
look at them.
And I back in the, I think for a school project, you get these school projects and it says, write an essay on the subject of your choice. So I ended up writing an essay on, steam trains at the time. So it was the Stephenson's rocket. Crikey, I can't remember what the other ones were called, but the very early days of steam trains. And I draw pictures of them for the essay. This is like when you're like 8, 9, 10 or whatever it is. So so he had a massive version of this thing in the in the living room. It was just on the sideboard.
Would you say? Can I ask you a question? Would you say that now, looking back, when you've pulled out these trains and so forth, is it the fact that your old man was? You love the fact that your dad loved it, or is it for yourself like, oh, I love this kind of thing? Where does it mainly come from?
I think it was just. I remember back at the time, it was a big
Yeah.
thing for my dad. So yeah, it's just
And you
just the
loved it because
memories
of that. Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome.
Because I don't.
That's a love story.
I'm not in the. I mean, my son. I did get my son a little sort of board and created a railway set for him, but
Yeah.
we set it all up and we maybe played on it once or twice, and then we were finished with it.
Yeah.
So for me, it's I don't have a personal attachment to these things, but I don't want to collect them or anything or have a railway set up, but knowing that I have those fond memories back in the day.
Love it.
And it was just like like going to the museums and learning about all these things. And I just pick up all these stupid facts about steam trains.
I love it. Absolutely love it. No action figures. Good night, everyone. That's boo, VTR Dave. What? No action figures? It's amazing out of it. That's amazing. I'm out of here. But charming, Dave? Charming.
It's charming,
Dave,
isn't it?
Love the action figure display, Mucker, says Keith. Yeah, he's got an awesome one. That's what yours that you sent me is right up there. I put it on my mantle so I can see it all the time, right on the top, right there. So brilliant. Yeah. Love it when spell check pops in and you don't see it. Thank you. Connor Fuller wants to know, is one of those trains Percy?
No. Although there probably is a train that looks like Percy somewhere in there.
DTM says, yeah, the York Railway Museum is great. Did you ever have an affection for trains, Jesse, when you were a kid? Did you love all that sort of stuff?
I appreciated them because they were around me. Because California has a very long, well, I can't really say a long history when I'm speaking to gentlemen from the United Kingdom, but for American history, California has a long history with railroads. And all around the Sierra Nevadas, we still have some steam trains. We even have some out here in Colorado that I've been riding around on. Yeah. So it's something that's been ever present, and I enjoy them recreationally. And so it's something that I guess people like me would take a bit for granted.
It's just that I think it's like I agree with Dave what he's just said about the detailing these old toys and the way they were done and the love and affection that went into them. They were aimed at kids, and but they still made sure that these things were absolutely brilliant. It's funny you should say that about the AC. I always remember the Eddie Izzard joke about how old Americans. This was made 50 years ago. We're even born then.
My friend in Chester was showing me this one building. And he said, yeah, this building is about 200 years old. It's right next to this Roman wall.
Yeah. If he said it about Disneyland Paris, where they said, can you make the castle a bit bigger? They've actually got it over here. Everyone lives in castles. I'll yearn for a bungalow. Do you know what I mean? Adam says, I love trains. Well, actually, I have a weird love of old trains. I've always said that if in the UK, most train stations are like stepping back in time. I love that. Yeah. I do. I'm a big train fan myself. And even though I drove, I used to get the train to work and so, because I love that. It's a romantic feel, I think, trains and old train stations and so forth. I've had my picture taken so many times today, I need to change licensing rights. Right, okay, Tracy.
What's he been doing?
I love that train. VTR says win. Toys were built so much better back in the day, said John. Oh, yeah. It shows, doesn't it? I think just have a look at it that way. I love trains. They look brand new. Yeah, those trains look brand new.
My dad was everything. He would always keep the boxes. And I've got a story about a box later on. But yeah, he would always keep the boxes and everything immaculate. I mean, it drove everybody else in the house mad. But now,
beautiful.
I mean, it's just... Yeah.
Do you feel that the quality is there because, yes, they are toys, but also they knew that there were collectors, even as at that time that they were coming out in the 70s. It was almost like they had two different markets they were catering to. So we want to make this fun toy at this affordable cost, but people want detail because we also know adults are going to buy this.
I think it was more like it was a consumer thing, I suppose, back then. I think first and foremost, my opinion on it is they had people, the customers in mind when they're making stuff like this. You know what I mean? We want to carry it on. Not now when they slap something on it and it can be anything. Do you know what I mean? I think back then, I mean, do they have any? I know there's Lionel toys over here, and I know Lionel's a big thing over here, and there was Hornby.
Yeah.
But who else was? Did they cornered the market? Did they Hornby in England for trains?
Well, my dad used to go over to America quite a lot for his job, and every now and then he'd come back with American-made equivalent of these kind of engines. So, but it would be the American engines. So he'd love all that kind of, everything's big, right? In America, he loved all that. So he would come back every now and then with an American. I can't remember the name of the company. I want to say I can't remember. I can't remember what it is. But yeah, there is a famous American train manufacturer.
Are they catalogued to VTR Dave, says Kieran?
No, they're not. Those ones aren't.
All about those core memories, Dave. It is, though, isn't it? I mean, that's why I love doing this. It's like I said over the past 4 episodes, it's stories, and I love that kind of thing. It's the same as me. I mean, Lucy came in here when we first started during the pandemic, during the Masters of the Universe, and we made the videos and so forth, and she loved it. Do you know what I mean? But now she's 15. You trying to get her in here? Trying to talk about Skeletor, Lucy? No, that's all right, Dad.
No.
You do it once yourself. Do you know what I mean? Keith says, I love my old Hornby train layout as a kid. Hornby owns Corgi. Now, I do it with Scuba. Wow. And Scuba's always said, yeah, you can come to my dad's when you come to Indiana and we'll have a... I love all that sort of thing. You know what I mean? The detail. And I know Rod Stewart was a big one. Rod Stewart's got a huge one in one of his houses, a big train set and so forth. Marky D says, I loved all the Thomas the Tank Engine books when I was little. The toys came much later. See? Little things like that in it that you remember and so forth. Right, Jesse, what's your honorable mention, buddy?
Well, my honorable mention, so everyone will be glad to know that this is a figure.
Thank you, Jesse.
And interestingly enough, because Dave was talking about the connection he has with his father and those trains.
Yeah.
I'm just going to show you my father. This is not my dad, but
he's a little bloke, isn't he?
This is Wild Bill.
Yeah.
From G.I. Joe Classified.
Yeah.
And
awesome figure.
Shabby, I'll have to send you the picture later. This is my dad in his 30s.
Right.
Down to the mustache, the hair, the eyebrows, the fact that he worked on ranches as a kid, through an adulthood, the fact that he was also a gunner in a Bell Cobra. Basically, everything about Wild Bill growing up in a small mountain town, like this is my father, essentially.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. That's why I'm a big fan of Burt Reynolds, or I love Rio blasting milk because it reminds me of real man, the handlebar moustache and the hair and so forth. So yeah.
And I basically bought that thing so I can get this guy. I know they'll release him on card later, and I don't collect all of the line. It's one of the 2 modern lines I do collect. Partially classified as was the Jada Street Fighter because I grew up on video games, but everything about this figure it's all homegrown memories to me. I did junior rodeo as a child. Dad would show me how to ride a horse. My dad, to make additional money, he worked at a sawmill, but to make additional money, he would go out and shoe horses. He would go break horses. I would go out with him in the mornings and just watch him do it. Just the smells that I can get from this figure and the feeling of the clothes, everything is just bringing me back to like my childhood living in a rural town in the mountains. So it's respect to my father who is getting up there in age, and I'll always have, him on a shelf, but it's also just the memories of living in, a small cowboy town up in the mountains of Northern California.
I think that's awesome, man. That's
so
awesome.
For somebody who grew up in the southeast of England, that was the most American thing I've heard in a long, long time.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And your dad is much, much cooler than my dad. My dad basically looked like a tall Danny DeVito.
Did
he? It was very difficult because he set very tough expectations. So, for example, when he worked at a sawmill, he would tell me stories of how, a fire would come out of a kiln and hit him in the hand, or a piece of metal would go through his hand. And he would come home from work, eat dinner, drink coffee, just tell me what happened. And it's like,
it's funny you said that. I found a black widow in my garden last week, and I shit myself. So I know what you mean.
now the
That's collection asked. I'm sure I've asked before, but I don't remember. Where in Colorado are you, Jesse? If you want to share that information, Jess.
So currently, I am in Broomfield, so I'm just north of Denver. To best describe Colorado, if this box were the state of Colorado, because a lot of Western states look like this.
Yeah.
The mountains go north to south, the Rockies, and this area here is called the Front Range. So basically, half the state is mountain, half the state is open prairie, and the big cities are built along the Front Range, going north to south.
Got you.
But I was born and raised in Northern California. Went to college in Wyoming, stayed in Wyoming for 17 years. I feel like Wyoming is probably a bit more home to me in terms of how I view it.
Wyoming.
And then
me and Dave wouldn't last 2 minutes, would we?
No.
No.
I went up into the loft to get some of this stuff down, and there was a tiny little spider at the end, and I'm like, no, this is freaking me out.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing about high altitude living is insects are very small up here.
Oh, they are, Dave. They are.
High altitude, less oxygen. The downside is you have to deal with the mountain lions and the bears.
Yeah.
Wynn said he used to lay out.
They might be small, but they're still deadly.
Yeah, they are. Well, it's like I said. It's funny because it's like I say, finding that black widow spider in mine last week. Do you know what I mean? I was just moving. It wasn't me. It was Lucy said it, and straight away I went, no, it can't. But it was, and we took a picture of it. Had the red diamondy thing on the back, and then I went to the side of the house, and there was 2 more. And I thought, that's when you know you live in a completely different world. Do you know what I mean? And I've always said this. I feel at home now. I mean, I've been in America most of my adult life, but it's stuff like this, Dave, that makes me go, actually, this ain't Blackpool. You know?
No.
This ain't London, stuff like that. I remember doing the pond in the house next door. We had that swimming pool, Dave. Do you remember? And I was emptying the pond, and that big rat snake just came in, about 6 foot black rat snake, and I took a video of it. And I'm like, you don't know what to say. I used to lay out my train set in our hallway when I was a kid. My mum used to go mad stepping over my train set. As a kid, what was the thing you both built as sets? Like a Lego set or a train set? What was a set you remember, boys? I'll start with you, Dave.
Lego,
yeah.
Absolutely. I've wait a little bit and you might see some, but definitely Lego. It was I was, because my brain just loves engineering. It loves how things work, and I used to take things apart and sometimes put them back together again if I could work it out, which really annoyed my parents. And so Lego was just the ideal toy for me. It was, absolutely.
Do you think people still play with it now? Because I was talking to our side about this, and when we were kids, you'd have a bucket of Lego and everything was in there. Star Wars was in there, Marvel, because you made it yourself and you did it yourself. But now, I'll give you an example. I wanted the Jaws Lego set for Christmas. I thought, oh, that'd be awesome, Jaws. And I built it, and you put it on your shelf. But never once, maybe because I'm a grown man and so I think differently, but never once did I think, oh, I'll have to break that up and start again. Once it's made, it's on your shelf and it's done.
That's the modern way, isn't it? But no, back in the day, I would break things up and I would make all sorts of weird stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You had your. I mean, if we ever had pictures of what we thought the Falcon looked like, it's.
And I think part of that is that if I think about my nephews, they'll sit down and play with me. If I bring them a toy, they'll sit down and play with me for a little bit, and then they'll eventually go and get on their tablet.
Yeah.
As a kid, I built something with a Lego. There was no other there was no tablet to go to. There was no computer to go to. It was just take it apart, build it again, take it apart, build it again. Now I'm bored. Now I'll go play with a different toy, or I'll go outside. There was less to compete with me at the time when I was building those Lego sets.
Yeah, but I think, would you class Lego as a toy now or as a model now?
Both. I think it's easy to say both.
Because you do the same as a model, don't you? You build it and then you just stick it on your ceiling if it's a plane, or on your shelf. So I was thinking, is that what Lego is now, a model?
You're very bold to put it on your ceiling if it's made of small bricks that can come apart.
No, I model. Like when you made a model or whatever. Model. Like our friend Jeff Barker. He's got loads of World War planes that he'd made.
Okay.
Models. and stuck them on the ceiling. So my point is, would you look at Lego as that, like something you just make and then that's it? You're on to the
modern
next one,
day,
if you will.
modern day, yeah, because they're
Yes,
getting
sir.
they're getting so realistic now, aren't they, as well? Because
Mhm.
Lego's cheated, really, haven't they? Because back in the day, we just had blocks, and then you'd have every now and then you have the odd shape. You might have a sort of triangle shape or something.
Yes, sir.
Now you've got every shape under the sun. I mean, you can.
You have a
it's
whole
cheating, really,
website,
isn't it?
a website dedicated to I need a piece. Here's this custom.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It's funny how it does.
So they are models.
Was Hornby aimed at kids? I always remember them being crazy expensive, and in the ads, the kids were buying the trains of the carry. Were they expensive back then as well? Because I wasn't I didn't buy many trains.
I wonder if there's a price on one of these. Let me just see if there's a price anywhere. Oh, here's the price. Awesome.
Here we go.
So this King Edward I, this is a proper engine, right? So probably more top of the range, I would have thought. That was £15.95 back in.
See, that was pricey then. That was
back
pricey.
in the late 70s, early 80s. So yeah, that's probably quite expensive, isn't it?
I
But
don't
then, that's top of range. You get a smaller one, right? Probably half the price, and then the carriages are going to be cheaper and cheaper. So, it's like toys of now, right? Well, or back in the 80s, in the range, you'd have your sort of key play set or whatever that's most expensive, and then you go down to your kind of pocket.
Yeah, like your Star Wars, you got your Falcon, you got your Land Speeder.
Exactly, yeah.
And G.I. Joe did the same thing, didn't they?
Yeah.
Matt's Collection said, my dad had a large collection of Hess trucks. I'm glad you said that because I see them everywhere and I don't understand what it is, but Hess truck, I think it was a garage or something. Was it a gas station or something? I kept a bunch of them after he passed away. My sisters took a lot as well, but Hess trucks, you probably know better than me, Jesse. Where did that originate from? Because everywhere I go, there's always, and they're expensive. Some of these old ones are really pricey. They're still boxed up Hess trucks.
I'll be honest, I don't know much about Hess. From my childhood, it was Tonka that all the kids played with.
Yeah, Tonka, yeah.
Yeah, I think Hess wasn't actually the truck. I think it was just the advertising that was on it. There were always white trucks and it said Hess in green on it. And that's, but I see them everywhere I go. I always see Hess trucks, if you will. So when I was a kid, they were quite cheap, Jonathan, but everything was cheap when I was young. Well, yeah, that makes sense. The only train I ever had was the Timpo cowboy train, says George. Do you know what that is? Timpo cowboy train.
That's
train
Timpo.
Made in China. Thanks, Connor. Shabby, you can't even entice Lucy in your room with Jem. No, it was funny that, Kieran. My girls were never interested in dolls ever. I don't think I think Suki got into Monster High, but that was even there. But it's like now when I take my kids over the past 5 years, for example, we'll take them to a toy shop straight down. She loves Jurassic Park. She still collects it now. Even at 15, she'll buy a Jurassic Park dinosaur, whatever, and she likes a shelf kind of thing, in a room. But I've never known my kids to buy dolls. My two girls ever. Only the dad. Only the dad likes it. There's T asks, isn't that Martin's cowboy hat? Oh, brilliant. I have two train stations, a green engine, a green GWR one and a yellow freight train with black stripes on the lower half and then added height to the front. It's funny when you see me in real life, David, how big the trains are over here. They are.
Yeah, no, that is exactly the big buggers over there.
And
GWR, Great Western Railways.
Oh, is that what that is? Great Western Railways. And it's funny because they go through towns over here, Dave. So you'll be going through a small town, they stop, but you have to wait for about 2 weeks.
I remember growing up and seeing pictures of trains in America, and there were double deckers.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was like, what is that? A double decker train? Yeah. It was like.
It's just, it blows me away, this stuff, how big they are over here. Wild Bill is a classic G.I. Joe figure. Dave, were you never, I know you like your G.I. Joe, were you never enticed with his 6-inch ever? We never thought,
no.
Because no, just wanted to stick with the.
I'm happy with the 3 3/4, yeah.
And I didn't have them with me, but my first G.I. Joe in 1992, I think, was Wild Bill. I saw a cowboy action figure, and of course, as a kid growing up in the mountains, it's like that's the one I want.
DTM says all action figures should have mustaches.
They should.
Oh my God, Dave's dad's the penguin. So the reason Matt's collection's asking you, Jesse, because he used to live in Fort Collins in Colorado Springs. So that's where he was.
That is right north of me and right south of me.
Let's have a look. Scarlett Johansson made Shabby shit himself. Yes, she would, to tell you the truth. Yeah, you're probably right. Hi, BOE. Good old BOEs. Even 50 people. So thank you all so much. That's really nice of you to all turn up. There's plenty of Black Widows in Blackpool. Adam says, hey, Jesse, my boss lives in Colorado in a place called Conifer, and I think it's about an hour from you. Is that right?
I drove through it yesterday. I was camping this weekend, and I had to drive through Conifer on the way back.
Yeah. Lincoln Logs. Did you ever get into them when you were a kid, Jess?
Oh, yeah.
That's a big one. My wife loves Lincoln Logs. Yeah, she was.
Every classroom, because, classrooms, kindergarten, first, second would have some toys, and preschool, and every one of them had Lincoln Logs.
For me, it's between Technic Lego and Scalextrics. Scalextric, I remember having Scalextric sets with my brothers, but I think the novelty wears off with Scalextrics, doesn't it?
It does.
I think my favorite play sets as kid, the big things, was Subutio, which is a football flick game, Jesse. I would spend hours on, but I was quite lucky in that sense because games like that, I had 3 other brothers. Do you see what I mean? So I always had someone to play with, if you will. So I kind of like that kind of thing. So BOE's here. Shabby, when Si's out, Claire plays with all these Lego bits. Absolutely brilliant. Well, there's your honourable mentions. Let's get to number 5. Right, so number 5, Jesse, I'll start with you. What's your number 5, buddy?
Well, I don't know if everyone can see. I have a little shelf here dedicated to my hosts.
Let's have a look. We can actually see. So show us your dedication. What is it? Winston Churchill, Iron Brew.
Iron Brew. Some Palatoy Action Force.
Yeah.
And then a small tin of tea I got in London.
Very nice. Very nice, Jesse. Very nice.
And actually, I brought this for a reason.
I didn't know you could buy Iron Brew over here.
Oh, yeah. There's actually, in Colorado Springs, there's a British import store.
Oh, right. Yeah. Got you.
I love Chris. I have been spoiled in that I can't eat American chocolate anymore.
Right.
It genuinely tastes like a cow has eaten it before me.
That's the way I put it, Jess. That's the way I put it. Hi, Andy. Nice to see you, pal.
Andy.
So my number 5, you have 2 pictures of this that we can show afterwards. But
okay,
one thing I enjoy with the hobby is I'm a very tactile person. Growing up with my dad, I learned carpentry. I played with toys because they were something I can hold. I do a lot of baking, camping, anything to involve my hands. And even
carry on talking like that, I think I'll marry you. You sound like the perfect person for me, Jesse.
And one of the things I enjoy with the hobby is I can take figures and make new figures. I can do customizing.
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of it was just repaints, just repainting a figure to look slightly different or something. But there's one that I've been working on that's a custom. And it's a figure who is well known in popular culture, especially in video games, but never really had good toys. And this is a figure comprised of, I think, 5 parts from 5 other figures. And some of them I bought cheap secondhand. Some of them I had to buy brand new to get the parts. But I love this figure because I'm actually really impressed with how it came out. But this is my custom Lara Croft.
Nice.
Made from Marvel Legends and G.I. Joe Classified.
Wow, that's really impressive. That's really impressive.
Yeah. So what's the process for that then, Jesse? What is it?
It's really racking your brain and looking what's out there at the time and thinking, what could work? Because there's only one female figure that has shorts. So it's like, well, I have to buy that figure. And then going through the catalogs and seeing in eBay and seeing what other figures are out there that could have, a shirt with that sleeveless or, a holster like this. And it takes a while. And this figure is about 3 years old, But even like these arms, for example, I just got 2 months ago or 1 month ago. So it's still evolving. The braid on the hair is from a 3D print that I took the braid off and glued it onto this head. So it's a figure that will keep evolving because the legs are a bit whiter. She hasn't been in the sun with her legs, unlike the arms and face, and they have the pins. So if a figure comes out in shorts, I might do a swap for that.
Never done it. I look at all the people doing customs on figures and I think, wow, that's impressive. I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't know where to get the hair or the shorts or this or that. Do you know what I mean?
I also have a custom. I don't think I have her with me. I did a custom with a classified Scarlet. I turned her into Coral. So I cut the hair, made it blonde, painted her up green and black with some red accents, and I gave her the motorcycle from Classified. So I have a British Coral on my shelf as well.
Wow! So this is in your top 5 simply because you've you've made it yourself and so forth. Yeah,
it's also the most expensive figure on my shelf.
Well, that's because there's about 6 figures in it. Yeah,
yeah. Some were secondhand, which kept the price down, but a few I had to buy brand new for the parts, and then try. It is
impressive.
Them.
It is. It looks good. It looks really good. You sent me a couple of pictures. Yep. Let me just put these up right now
because I also like photography, and I do some occasional action figure photography.
So is this your action figure photography then? Wow, that's impressive.
Yep. Nice.
Wow, so that's that figure that's right there.
Yep, you can see her arms at the time were single jointed, so they couldn't go more than 90 degrees, which always bothered me with photography.
That's impressive, man. That's really good. There's a couple of lads in our chat as well that do the photography, so they'll get a kick. That's impressive.
And you can tell how I do it. You can just see my hand off screen. Like you can't see it, but you can tell my hand is holding up her foot, and that's how she's floating above the skull. But
don't ruin it, Jess. Don't tell us how you do it.
I'm sorry. I should take cues from Sai and not tell you how I do some things.
Shazam!
Shazam! Wow. That is really, really impressive, buddy. Really impressive. Adam says, love Lego. Had loads of it as a kid, but in the building I enjoy. Once it's built, I get bored of Lego. That's what I mean. That's what we were talking, Jesse and Dave were saying. I wonder if it's become like more of a model kind of thing, though. Mm-hmm. Airfix, quick build. There you go. So BOE says, Airquick, use a Lego type system. So, yeah, let's have a look. My Uncle John lived in the Rockies. Great singer, but terrible pilot. Very good. Was speaking to someone today who's taking part in a sponsored walk on Lego event instead of hot coals. No chance. No,
I saw a video the other day where 2 guys barefoot were playing.
Are you sure you want to say any more, Dave?
No. This is not my dad's search term. Right? They're playing barefoot football on Lego.
Yeah.
And they were kicking some concrete ball or some real. So they were like, it was just, I don't know where I saw that. It must have been a YouTube or something. I just thought, you're mad.
Oh, good grief. Right, Dave, what is your top 5?
Again, another story associated with my dad when I was growing up. So I was one of those, believe it or not, I was one of those kids that up to a certain age, probably, I don't know, 9 or 10, I was always outside, like we always were, right?
Yeah.
I was on my bike. And I read a quote or read a picture the other day which said, back in the 80s, the social network was your bike, basically, because you all got together, didn't you? You all got together on your bike, and there was a woods nearby, and we used to go there and ride the bikes and stuff. And I thought, well, I'm also getting into music. My gran was into Status Quo and stuff like that. I thought, I want some of that. I was just like.
Your gran was into it.
Yeah.
So I get down. Brilliant.
So I asked my dad for my birthday. I said I'd love one of those Sony Walkmans. Can I have one of those? So we actually went to my gran's for this birthday, and she lives in North London. So at some point in my childhood, I did have a Gunners top. So kick me now if you want to. But I also did have a Liverpool scarf.
Yeah,
At one
well,
point.
I don't
Yeah,
know about that.
yeah.
But anyway,
I've never had any Everton stuff though. But anyway,
well, it's probably exclusive down where you live. That's what it, you know.
but I was at my grand's, and it was like, okay, birthday, present comes. I open up the present, and it was big, and I thought, this is quite big. It came in this box.
Right.
Came in this box. I thought, I'm sure that's a Sony Walkman's not that big. It's supposed to be portable, right? And I open it up, and my dad had got me this Panasonic.
Oh, you said, look at that. You see what I mean, Jesse?
Panasonic RX90. Now, I didn't actually have the box. It was only when I went over to my dad's a few years back, and I recalled the story, and he went, "Oh, hang on a minute," and he pulled out this box. He had the box still for it.
No,
so this is the original box that it came in.
Oh wow.
And I thought, okay, well, it's not a Sony Walkman, but I'll go with it, and I open it up. And it's this thing, right? It's got like it's like the kind of I don't know, businessman's version of
it is.
of a
Yeah,
Walkman. It's got a radio on it. I mean, my dad obviously splashed out on this because it's
he did.
It's really nice. Obviously, and it's got the tape player, but it's also got a mic as well, so you can record on it. It's got all these buttons on the top. I mean, it's just like completely over the top.
It's big. Well, it's a big one.
Yeah. And not only that, he got me this case as well. Because
Really?
that's not cool.
Really?
That's not cool enough, is it?
No.
So he got me this case that he put it in.
Oh. Look at it. I can imagine you in year 11 strutting yourself.
Yeah. Look, with this thing on the back that you put through your belt. You attach to your belt. You slide it on your belt.
Can you imagine all your mates? Why is Dave carrying a coffin? It's not a coffin.
And then
it's
not only that, just because that's not cool enough.
Yeah.
When you want to use the aerial, the radio, you have to pull out the aerial.
Brilliant.
And so
you
there
get
you go.
NASA with that thing, Dave. Get NASA
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah. So and it works. I've got quick batteries in.
Super cool.
Where's the on button? There we
Hi,
go.
Stu. Nice to see you.
There we go. Look, there's a little light comes on at the top there, and I'll see if I can get
Hey.
volume up. There's so many knobs on there. You don't even know what's. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit probably needs tuning.
Are you ever tempted to take it out with you, Dave? Are you ever tempted to
I
go,
can't get it to tune into a. So yeah, there you are. Thanks, Dad.
Wow.
There I was joining my mates on our bikes with this thing.
So cool, though. It's so super cool.
And I do have a collection of some tapes. So I brought out some that I thought might be appropriate for people here. So I got an Aha one here because that's classic 80s, isn't it?
Brilliant, yeah.
And then one for Matt, the Blues Brothers soundtrack.
Yes.
And then one for Adam. Look at that. You can't get more 80s than that, can you? Top Gun soundtrack. So
brilliant.
And do you know what? My gran on the birthday, because I had to have a tape to put in there, she did actually buy me a Status Quo tape. I think it was
brilliant.
12 Gold Bars. Was that the name of the album? I think it was that. Yeah.
She got you that.
She got me that, yeah. And you know what? I listened to it all day. It was brilliant.
Did you ever make your own tapes when you were a kid, lads? Did you make your own like mixtapes and stuff? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was awesome to do. That is brilliant, Dave. That is absolutely brilliant. Gilster's here. Hiya, Gilster. Biker's here. Hiya, Biker. Wow, everybody's turned up. Jesse, have you made some interesting new characters with remaining parts of the original figures? That's a good question.
No, I had to recoup some of my money, so I had to sell those figures without parts. So some of them I did make other figures and gave them to friends. If you ever speak with Grindhead Jim, he has a few of my.
We know Grindhead Jim. He's friend of ours lot. Yeah, we like Grindhead. I recently sold all my photography gear. 8 years ago was the last time I did any and decided time was right. Amazing how much I got for it. Fairly old tech now. But it is funny that because obviously I think you two know more than I do. But I see that myself, like old TVs, because the retro gaming's come back in a big way. There used to be a time old TVs have been practically nothing. Now they're selling for a fortune because they want them for the video games and so forth. And old microphone, remember the old cassette tapes? You just press it, put a mic in it. They go for a lot of money over here. And I'm like, wow, man, that's, There we go. Why? Arsenal from South London, not North London. Terrible gooness. Well, they are. I always wanted the yellow Sony Sports Walkman. That thing was ace. I just watched it. They bought it on Toy Shop on Tour, didn't they? That Dutch fella just found it in a shop on Toy Shop on Tour, and I thought, yeah, that's pretty cool. Matt's collection had one of those, Dave. Look at this. I had one of those.
No way.
Loved my Sony Walkman with its bass boost.
I don't think this had a bass boost. Not for you businessmen, anyway.
Delvian says, it's like a Star Trek prop. I love it.
Look at it in the case.
Oh, just brilliant. It's so cool. I love that case. Is that a case? Did your dad make that, or was it specifically made for that?
You bought it for it, yeah. And so you had the belt on the back, but then I've just realised there's a loop as well. So I think you could probably have it hanging over your shoulder, maybe.
Or maybe get a strap and wear it in a handbag. Do you know what I mean?
Brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant. Kieran Ball, I thought it was a backpack. Steve says, I want to see you wearing that at the next Toy Fair VTR. Oh, Dave, that would be brilliant. Just go with it. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know, if you're walking around for a few hours, you may not want to be carrying that on your back.
This is taking me back, says our Adam. I had a bum bag fanny pack for you in the US, which was for my Walkman, and it was a proper one for Walkmans with little compartments for tapes, the lot.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. That's a thing of beauty. That's a thing of audio beauty.
Audio beauty, yeah.
John says, is it a nearly Cyberman outfit? No. Hang on. I can hear something, says Kieran. Broadswords calling Danny.
It is, yeah.
Blue Brothers soundtrack is ace, and yes, Dave, I have that. I have that Top Gun soundtrack. Of course, he does. Iron Gills, it's good to see you, pal. Dave pulled out that aerial. Now there's aliens outside my house. oh, a plane landing. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Well, that was yours and Jesse's top 5. Have a look at your top 4. Can I just say as well, now we're less halfway through, I've loved this tonight. You've been absolutely brilliant. So thank you so much. Right. So Dave, we'll start with you. What's your top?
I need to get myself ready. Hang on. Yeah.
So Shabby, tell me while we're waiting, if I had to pick a team that would offend the most people in this chat.
To offend the most people,
yeah,
I'd probably go for Liverpool. But if you wanted like the Real Madrid of England, I'd probably say Everton. And I think Dave and everybody else would agree that. Is that right, Dave?
Don't listen to a word he's saying.
But it depends. If you really wanted to piss people off, like when people look at you and go, "Oh, support Liverpool." That's that.
I don't see the point in trying to make people happy because you can't. So I might as well just offend the most people in the most.
Then that's the team for you. That's definitely the team for you. Although Adam is right, no one likes Arsenal. Millwall, yeah. Dave's carpeting crack has been revealed. Thanks, Cap. Cheers for that. Right.
Okay.
What is it, Dave? What's your number 4, pal?
Well, we talked about Lego earlier, coincidentally. So my number, is it 4? Cool. We're at number 4. Is Lego, and it's back in the day. I absolutely loved this technical Lego. They called it back in the day. They called it a new technical set. So this is when this first came out.
Technical set, okay.
Yeah. So this was just me, right? Like I had a couple of spaceships, but this for me was just where it was at because, like I say, it was just all about the engineering. And these boxes are great because they open up, they open up like this.
Oh wow!
And then you get the instructions were sometimes in the lid or underneath. So that was the little go-kart. I don't know if anyone remembers that.
I do. I remember that. Yeah, and even the
Yeah.
look of that, and the thing about it as well.
Yeah.
What always reminds me of old school Lego is the lid. The way the lid come up and you saw. They stopped
Yeah.
doing that, didn't they? And that's brilliant.
Yeah. And here's the little go-kart. And I love these things. I mean, this is just a simple one, but it was just the fact that you had these, rack and pinion type things, so you can do the steering. They always had an engine that with a piston, all that kind of stuff. And I love these, and so I ended up.
Did it go with your engineering kind of brain?
Yeah,
techniques
absolutely,
more than,
absolutely,
right, got you.
yeah. And my dad caught on to that, so he bought me quite a few. So there was, I remember having this one, which is the
wow,
forklift truck. Doesn't look very yellow, it looks more orangey there. Must be the light going on. But and you could sort of wind up and down the forks and stuff.
That's
Loved
brilliant.
all that.
Yeah.
This is
So cool.
Jesse might like. I don't know. Jesse might appreciate this
Oh,
tractor.
look at that.
Which
Here comes
this
the little
one's
John Deere
delicate.
sticker.
But this one had a lever which allowed you to pull up the whatever thing you had on the back. If I can get this to work, these are quite delicate now. Actually, these things. This is spin. There we go. Am I going to have to lift it up? Oh, is it going to work? There we go.
Oh,
So as you run it across the ground, all these things are spin and everything. I love these things. But my absolute, actually, oh no, there's one more here. This is the motorbike and sidecar.
You see,
Oh,
that
that's
sort of
beautiful.
aesthetics for Lego,
Yeah,
regardless of this Lego technique, to me is Lego. That's what it is. This
Yeah.
old school look like that. It really
Yeah.
takes me back. Yeah.
and that has the piston that works and the steering and everything. But
Yeah.
the one that I remember, I remember getting this. I don't know if it was for my birthday or not, and it was really hot outside. I mean, it was like really glorious day, but I loved this so much. I sat inside and made it. The rest of my family were like, come
Brilliant
outside, come out into the garden. It's lovely. And I, nope,
Everyone's having
I'm
a
building-
barbecue. He's not
Yeah,
having any of it.
I'm building this, and it's this guy. It's this guy.
Oh, yeah.
This was
Look
my
at that.
absolute favorite. Now you see, at this point, it's now called Technic, which is what it's called now. So it wasn't originally called Technic Lego. They were called Technical Sets, but by this time they were called Technic. And I absolutely love this thing because how can I open it up with this one? Ugh.
Yeah.
Because basically it had all these awesome features on the car. Let me show you. So my young mind was blown by this. It's so cool.
Oh wow.
This thing is so cool.
at
It's
that
big as well. So it's got things like adjustable seats. The seat backs go up and down. They go, forward and backwards. Obviously, it's got steering. Like most of these things, got steering. But then it also has actual gears. So it's got a gearbox in it, basically. So there's a little lever there. See that?
Mhm.
And you can, like a real car, you can move it forward and backwards to swap between 3 different gears. There's a whole load of gearing system in there. And then the thing that completely blew my mind, and actually I learned about this from this car, is that it's got a diff in the back. So for the people that don't know what a diff is, it allows the rear wheels to spin at different speeds whilst it's going forward. So if you go around the
Wow.
corner, the outside wheel can go faster than the inside wheel. And this thing has a diff. And it just blew my mind. So right underneath there is all the mechanics for how the diff works and stuff. And
Unbelievable.
it just blew my mind at the time. It was like, wow. So I took this apart. I made all sorts of different vehicles and stuff with it, and mechanical spaceships and God knows what. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it.
It goes back to what we were saying before, doesn't it, fellas, about the trains? Look at the detail he put into stuff back then. Even
Yeah.
if that like a diff in it, making sure it's a little bit different, and it's
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant.
yeah.
Keenan
Oh,
Ball
this-
says, I remember seeing those Lego sets back in the day, but I went straight for action figures instead. Of VTR. And
No
Sarah
action
says,
figures for me tonight.
Shabby, how can you not remember that we had that Lego kid set as a kid, you crazy, you dozy mech? Right? And Jam Lampel says, Alexa, play Tommy Rose Sheila. Well, okay. What year roughly are those, Dave? Said our Zoe.
80s, early 80s. I think those are probably 83 maybe for
Do you
this
still
one.
pick up Technics now, though, Dave? If you see one now, like I know you're a big car enthusiast, and you see the Formula Ones they do in the McLarens and all that they do. Do you never get tempted?
My son got massively into cars, so we bought a couple for him when he was growing up. But I've seen those F1, the new F1s, and I haven't got them. I've actually got. Let me. I'll do F1 through the ages. So this is that's probably the first F1 car that Lego did. With Mr. Miyagi.
I remember that scene, racing off to the tournament.
Did you not see that in Karate Kid? But I absolutely love this because just for the simplicity of it, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's super cool, Mr. Miyagi.
And then it went to this.
Oh yeah, with a Smurf in it, yeah.
With a Smurf, yeah. And the back comes off to reveal the engine in there. Oh yeah, yes, it comes off.
It ain't funny though. Do you not think, Jesse and Dave, that every time they wrote something turbo on a car back then, it made it super cool, you know?
And then it went to god. I haven't got the fans yet. And then it went to this.
Ooh.
Ferrari. I don't know what year this is. These are all pretty old, I think. Stickers are coming off on this one. Yeah. So I have seen those modern ones, but I'm happy with these ones. I just like the style of these, really. The simplicity of them.
Yeah, they're really, really cool. Adam says, my friend collects Lego Blacktron, which is a subsection of the space range, all black and yellow. Do you remember that, Dave?
Yeah, I think. I remember the blue and grey space, and then I think the black one came after that. Yeah,
I remember Zero Hunter. Matt was getting into him again. One of each, and Scuba did. Scuba got the monorail back, and he got a few. That's what I remember about the space stuff was the grey and neon kind of yellowy green that came with it and stuff. I loved all that sort of stuff. TJC says I've got the gull wing doors, working suspension, working gear, I can pop up headlights. Let's have a look. A differential, said Mr. B.
Yeah, differential, yeah.
Let's have a look. That's when he was AI from Al's Diner in Happy's Days. Hiya, John. Nice to see you, John. Right. Okay, Jesse. What's your number 4, pal?
So I had a similar dilemma that Adam had a few weeks back, in which a very significant part of my collection is micro machines.
Yeah.
My top 5 plus my honorable mention could have just been micro machine playsets. So I had to pick one to represent the range. And the one that I went with is this off-road country fold-out playset. Because I am someone who loves to go on road trips. I just, in the last 2 days, I think I drove 3 hours in each direction to go camping in the mountains. Last year, I think I logged 7,000 miles just for the road trips.
Wow.
I love camping, being outdoors, and this playset, just appeals to me because of that. And actually, I have it set up beside me, so I'm just going to move my camera.
Right, I'm going to make it even bigger for that. Hold on a sec.
There we go. Nope.
So for a micro machines, that's kind of a biggish set, isn't it?
This is a big set. Yes, a lot of them are like the size of this one part. But it folds out. So if I removed a few of these, you could pull these in, fold it up like this. So this is definitely on the larger scale, but it's just so beautiful. Put all this back. And you could just grab whatever cars you feel like and just pretend like you're out camping in the wilderness. You've got, Forest Service watchtower. Comes with a boat dock. A camp out sign, a tent. So just everything you need to just play out, play outdoors.
What was it about micro machines, Jesse? What was it that's you like? The one you love.
I think for me, the reason I love it is because it's such a small thing. When you get enough of them, can just be more expansive than a single figure in a single plane or a small play set for 3 3/4 scale figures. I could, when they did highways and byways, I could link up several of them and go on road trips and go on adventures. They had airports, they had.
See, I never knew they did that until Usual Mike showed me. Usual Mike got a set, and then he showed me on the back of it that you could actually take all these different sets and build one big. I think it was a city set.
Oh, yes,
you could build one big city, and I was like,
highways and byways all connected. They all had similar ramp connectors that you could put together. Yeah. But Galoob was ingenious with what they did with their micro stuff, because they had play sets that were disguised as everyday items. So like they had secret auto supplies. So a gas of petrol would open up to be a playset and a carrying case.
Yeah.
But they also did in the 80s, they did army gear in the US. In the UK, it was secret army supplies. And they just looked like military role play items, like binoculars and.
Oh, I've seen them. Like they did a grenade that opened up, and that.
I'll show you my favorite. Give me just 1 second.
All right. I've got those trays and those old Lego sets. So nice. That's what it is for me. When you open the lid up and you saw it all done like that. George Aiken wants to know, where did Jesse get his secret scale model of one of his secret bases? Brilliant. So the detail, I always felt like you got bang for your buck when I was a kid. I think that's why you liked it, Michael Machines.
Yeah, and you could just, if you were a car enthusiast, you could just collect the entire range of cars.
Right.
If you were into military play sets, you could have entire battles. Instead of a large figure versus a large figure, now you can actually have small armies. And it is why Galoob appealed to Lucasfilm in 1982, because when Kenner lost a license, Hasbro was begging Lucasfilm, please give it back to us. We'll pay anything, because now you're putting out all this new Star Wars stuff for the 90s.
Yeah.
Galoob met with Lucasfilm in 92 and said, we can literally make, it's Star Wars. We can make Star Wars in space with these small micro play sets, and here's all these cool ideas. And they got the license. But I can show you the army gear. This is actually not Micro Machine. This is Action Fleet scale, and I can explain that in a bit. This is my favorite one. It's a working canteen. So you can put liquid in it. You can put it to your belt. So they worked. Everything that was meant for role play worked. The binoculars do have magnification.
Right.
The watch was digital, but you open it up, you can see there's a seam right here. And it turned into an aircraft carrier.
That's cool. So that's the same thing, but opened up. Look at that.
Wow.
And that's just why I love Micro Machines. Those for so little value in terms of money, you get so much value in playtime and city building and army building. And it's really up to your imagination what to do with them. There's no story. There's no show or comic book that tells you how to play with these. You just know how to play because they represent real life to you.
I wonder if that was hard for him back then as well, because obviously it was the trilogy, wasn't it? The comic book, the TV show, the cartoon, and the toy, wasn't it? But I never really saw anything from Micro Machines besides Micro Machines, if you will. Did they never do a comic or a TV show on Micro Machines or a cartoon?
Not that I'm aware of. Maybe there's some property out there, but I don't recall.
Yeah, the travel sets. I've done that with mine collected. No, all together, says Adam. Geeking out about Micro Machines.
Adam has a great collection of the pocket play sets.
Yeah.
Basically, they can fold up and fit into a pocket. And he's got that's what you see on his display behind him is the little pocket ones, which are a bit earlier. I think 89. Adam can correct me, but oh, those are beautiful.
He says, I think me and Jesse would have been best friends if we were kids. Simon says, Shabby's nickname at school was Micro Machine. One of my biggest mysteries for me is why Micro Machines is so cheap still. You can get box examples for 20 quid easily. Blows my mind.
We were talking about that behind the scenes. In the UK, they're very affordable. I keep looking at UK eBay and ordering a few from there.
Right.
Because in the United States, they're not cheap. People, because it's such a car culture here, you want to buy one of these by themselves, you're looking at $5 to $7.
Yeah.
They're not cheap up here. And so a lot of my collection comes from Italy, because Galoob worked with, I don't know how you pronounce it. Is it Gigi or GIG?
Gigi.
Yeah, they were the distributors for Italy.
Right. Oh, okay. Right.
I go on the Italy eBay. Their stuff is boxed, mint, beautiful condition, and half the price of what I can find in the United States.
Just get me to ordering for you, says Adam. If you need anything else, Jesse, it's nice of him.
Well, thank you.
Awesome. Well, brilliant. Right, we are on to number 3. Right, Jesse, I'll stick with you because you're right there, buddy. So what is your number 3, pal?
Well, you have an image.
Yeah.
Of this. So like many children, I had 2 loves. And that is cowboys and dinosaurs. And funny enough, so did Willis O'Brien. If you're not familiar with the name, he is a pioneer in visual effects.
Right.
Creating little monsters and dinosaurs and putting them on the film. It was his creations that drove the attention of the Edison Company to allow him to make small movies with his, small dinosaurs and creatures. And then he later became he took on proteges like Harryhausen and Pete Peterson. One of the films he wanted to make was a film called Gwangi, which he never did make, but he had worked as a ranch hand. Yep. Well, so this is Harryhausen's film. So Willis O'Brien never got that far, but O'Brien had worked as a ranch hand. He had worked as a prehistoric tour guide in Crater Lake.
Right.
So he had a fascination with dinosaurs and cowboys. And Harryhausen later made this film. And I just love this poster. And that's what we're showing here is the poster, which I have right here, but we can keep the big one on screen. So much about this poster is misleading, like all the posters at the time, especially monster posters. The T-Rex was maybe twice the height of a man on a horse. But you can see the tip of his tail is throwing a horse into the air.
Oh, yeah.
That is essentially a kaiju. So you're thinking, oh, there's going to be this army of cowboys trying to take down this giant T-Rex, and really, it's not that big at all. It's a silly film. I love it, but these type of monster posters, kaiju posters, I have a whole collection of these, and I just love them. They ooze that nostalgia of, look what you might be able to see because there's nothing to show you ahead of time before you go into the theater.
So is this before Godzilla? Because I know Godzilla's around 54, wasn't it, their first movie? So.
Yes. I can't. Ooh, the year.
Have you heard of this, Dave? Have you heard of this?
No, I've not heard of this.
I've never heard of it. No. Delvian likes it. He said,
yeah.
But wow.
No.
And actually, I'll show you. Sometimes the American posters are all right, and it's the international ones that are a bit more exciting.
Right.
So this is the same one, but this is for Italy. And it's yellow and reversed.
Nice.
My mirror or my window is catching the light.
And so he does reverse the picture. They'll never know.
Yeah. But you can just see the flames back here on the Spanish mission, and oh, it's just so beautiful. I had to get both of these because they just look so gorgeous.
Oh, George has seen it. George has watched it. And Kim and Bull said Jurassic Park pays homage to the end of Gwangi with the end shot of the Rex in Jurassic Park. Is that right?
I'd have to go back and rewatch it. I don't recall what the homage is.
So he says, Delvian says, dinosaur fights and an elephant at the end. It's a cool film. I'll have to see if I can see. This site says I smoke a lot of Guanche. The Valley of Guanche is from 1969, so it's after
Okay.
Godzilla. Right, cheers, Kieran.
Oh, but just, it's everything I loved as a kid. I love dinosaurs. I love prehistory. I love cowboy culture.
How
And
did you
so-
get into this though? Did you find it, or did your parents take you to the cinema? How did you find it? Because, like I said, me and Dave have said, I've never heard of it at all.
I've always been a fan of visual effects. It's just a hobby and as a kid, I didn't know any of this. This is
Right.
more after college.
Yeah.
I just loved seeing the effects, and I preferred handmade creations over digital.
So you're a big fan of Jason the Argonauts, Class of the
Mhm.
Titans, that kind of
Yeah.
thing, yeah.
And so I just started doing research, and I started to learn more about these figures. Obviously, starting with Harryhausen, but then learning about his coworker Pete Pearson and Louis O'Brien, and then who came after him. But I love visual effects, and the reason I got into collecting posters is because south of me there's a town called Woodland Park, very
Right.
unassuming town, but it has a dinosaur museum. And as I'm walking around it, there is a small cinema room, not very big, but all the walls are black and they're lined up with monster posters. And it inspired me to collect posters.
Is it a one-off film that as well, or did he make like the Return of Guanche or something?
No, this was a one-off.
Wow, that's just impressive, mate. I've never heard of it. Like I said, it's funny that because a few lads in the chat have said, "Yeah, we know what it's about. Dinosaurs fight elephants and all that sort of stuff." So, well, that's impressive, mate. That is impressive. Okay, David, what's your number 3, pal?
Let me just we're gonna have to go and prepare again. Hang on. Sorry,
You've shown
for
some
the
awesome
intermission.
stuff tonight, lads. You really have. You've shown some great stuff. Something brilliant. Another great episode. Love it.
Okay. So, when I was growing up as a kid, I got very heavily into video games. I loved them. I played video games on a Dragon, on a Commodore 64, Atari ST.
Yeah.
But I will never forget the very, very first video game I ever played. And it was back at my grand's in North London. Again,
Wasn't Status Quo the game, was it, Dave?
Status Quo the game. Game and Watch. It was, I think, a birthday present, another birthday present. I don't know what it was about being at my grand's. It was always a good birthday.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. I didn't ask for this or anything. My dad was quite good at sort of seeing what was going on in the world and trying to keep ahead of the game.
Yeah.
So he would sort of buy these toys, if you like. But I think part of it was for his own interest. It was like
He loved it too. Yeah.
yeah. What are these video? Because remember, my dad was like, all mechanical, everything, all that kind of stuff. And now all this video stuff coming out, and he's probably going, "Oh, what's that all about?" I know what. I'll buy something for my son, and I'll play with it myself. But what he bought,
yeah.
what he bought. Like now, at the time, I had no idea. But now I'm older, I realise what he was doing. But he bought this, the Galaxy Invader 1000
Oh.
from Computer Games Limited. And
Wow.
I opened it up and I thought, what the hell is this? So opened it up, put the batteries in, and it's this. It's basically Space Invaders. I didn't know it was Space Invaders at the time. I put some
Right.
batteries in so I can actually show you. And it has amazing sound effects. Oh, I've just got killed. I can't play this backwards. Now,
Wow. That looks
I got
brand
absolutely
new.
hooked on this game. Completely hooked. You can see the UFO at the top there.
Yeah.
It has just a simple left-right joystick and one button to fire. That's all the game is. But I got completely hooked on it. It also has 3 levels which you can select between. So I was playing this all day. And by the end of the day, my dad hated this thing because he was I don't think he ever regretted buying a birthday present as much as this one. He absolutely hated it, but I loved it. And
Yeah, TJC said he's got the exact one too. He got it for his 7th birthday.
yeah, and the funny thing is, when I started recollecting stuff, I couldn't remember what this was called. I couldn't remember, and all I remember was there was a video game that I had that was yellow, and kind of a box shape like this. So it took me a while to actually find out what it was, but eventually I found it and picked myself one up. And as I say, I got heavily into video games after that. I had a Commodore and Atari and everything. So today, this is one of my other favorite things, which is basically a Mr. FPGA, which basically emulates pretty much every console, every home computer from the dawn till probably.
You made the video on where you had to make it yourself and put everything in it yourself. I remember.
Yeah. Up to about Nintendo 64, I'd say.
Wow.
Up to there. So yeah, pretty much everything, and also pretty much all the arcade games as well. And yeah, I love this thing. In fact, there's a new version that's coming out, so I'm hoping I might get that. But there was talking about Lego. Back in the day when I was making Lego stuff, I kind of knew that computers are around, and I always thought in my mind I could build with Lego a calculator. It was a kind of wacky thing that went through my mind at the time. It's like, I reckon I could build an adding machine in Lego.
Awesome.
Of course, I couldn't actually do it. I had no idea how to build a calculator in Lego, but it is possible. And there was a museum in the Isle of Skye called the Glendale Toy Museum. I've got a postcard here, and this museum was a toy museum, and you can see from the photos it was like really classic old toys, 60s kind of stuff. It closed down, and so they sold off all their stuff. And there was one item there that I saw, and it was like, I've got to get that. That's right up my street. And it was from 1965, and it's called, this is a toy, the Digicomp 1 from 1965. Okay.
Right.
And it is basically the very first home computer, essentially. Only there's no screen, there's no electricity or anything. It's purely made out of plastic.
Wow.
And you got with it a book. You can tell this is from the 60s, can't you?
Yeah, definitely.
So this is a toy. This is the detailed programming of the Digicomp 1 experiments. You can tell that's from the 60s. And in here, it tells you how to program this computer and basically do all this stuff. Right, this is right up my street, and this is what it looks like. I don't think I've ever shown this before, actually. So this is it.
Wow.
So this is a 1965 computer toy, basically that kids could buy, and you could program it. You could program it by basically. There's all these kind of tubes and stuff that you can sort of slot in at different points, and that's what the book tells you how to do. And then here on this side, no, not that side, on this side, that's the output. There's just three digits. So this computer can basically go from 0 to 7. So you can program it. You can program it to add numbers. You can program it to do all sorts of stuff. And at the moment, I've got it to program to just count from 0 to 7. And the way it works is you pull this thing on this side, like so, and then you push it. So you see it's gone to 1.
Yeah.
Pull it again. Oh, it's back to 0. Hang on. 1, 2. This is all in binary, of course.
Right.
3. So it just basically counts. So this is like right up my street, and this is what I think I had in my mind when I was building Lego and I wanted to build a calculator. But yeah, this is 1965 computer toy, basically. It is how computers work, but just in plastic form. So I had to pick that up. It's just right up my street.
Jesse, what did you say? What did you say, man? It's just brilliant.
It's all beautiful. I mean, it's just the simplicity of it.
Yeah. Gap says, stop hitting those buttons. You're sending a signal for Everton to show up. Well, you know what I mean? That's awesome, Dave, says Mr. B. Adam says something I've noticed. These top fives, if you showed anyone in the community the top five of everyone, I think it would most guess who it is. Shows how much toys are parts of Harper. Yeah, and that's 100%. If someone showed me what Dave showed, I'd definitely go, yeah, that's or Micro Machines. Yeah, that's definitely Jesse or Adam. And so yeah, I agree with that. Definitely. I've got the CGL Galaxy Twin Vader as well, Dave. What is that?
Nice.
All this stuff is in fantastic shape, Dave. I think you've made a time machine from your Lego. Lego. Brains and locks, says Kieran. Brilliant. Dave, crack the Enigma codes with that.
Yeah.
Well, but that's the thing. Did you know that existed, or you just saw it in there and thought, "Oh, wow"?
I never knew this existed. I saw it in that museum. That's when I first saw it, and then when they were closing down, it's like, and they were selling stuff. I'm like, I've got to buy it. So I messaged them immediately and said, I want to buy the Digicomp, and they went, no problem.
I want it.
So yeah, I love it. I've never seen it anywhere else.
Was it? You don't have to tell me the price because it's no one else's.
Oh no, it wasn't. It was like maybe £50 or something. It wasn't very expensive.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah,
wow, that's impressive.
And the fact that it came with the instructions of how to assemble it all, and then the experiments book and stuff. Yeah,
that's right up. That's right up. VTR.
That is right on my street. Yeah.
As soon as you pulled out that booklet, the message was to go, I'm not reading that VTR. I'm like, I can't wait to delve into it. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. All right, well, we've seen your number threes. Let's have a look at your number two. This time I'll start with Dave because he's at the top. So, Dave, what is your number two, buddy?
Hang on, let me just arrange things again. I've got a big pile of stuff around me.
Hey, at least you're not stuck in the loft. Look at it that way. So
yeah, I'm not stuck in the loft. That's right. Okay. So again, something that my dad bought for himself,
right?
But he sort of pretended he was buying it for me, but really it was for him. And this is the first part of it, and I absolutely loved this when I was a kid. So anyone who was into this sort of stuff back in the 80s will know exactly what this is. This ACOMS is, basically the name back in the day, and that's the box for it. That's the box.
Right.
It is another box with an aerial.
Look at that thing.
Something about aerials. I've just realised that my dad and I loved aerials back in the day, but this is a remote control. And I remember there was a toy shop that I used to walk by on the way to school and on the way home from school. So I go past it twice a day, and every day I go in there. And I remember on the left-hand side there was the wall of Star Wars. And then at the back was the Tamiya section.
Oh yeah,
the remote control cars.
Yeah,
and I used to go in there, and my favorites were there was the Beetle, I think there's the Hornet that everybody had, and then there was this van. I can't remember what it was called, but this van with big wheels and stuff. They were my favorites. And I didn't say to my dad, "Oh, I want these." I just thought, "Oh, they're cool." I thought they were for like the big kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, my dad buys one. None of my favorites, of course, because it's my dad. He buys this thing, the Lamborghini Cheetah, which is an army vehicle.
Does the guy come with it, Dave? The guy that's driving it, does he come with it? The figure come with it?
This I think the reason my dad bought this is, one, it's army related, and he was well into his World War II and all that kind of stuff. And two, the detail on the bodywork is awesome. There's a winch at the front there.
It's incredible.
You've got jerry cans and an axe and all sorts of stuff going on. You've got the driver. It's an awesome vehicle, and it's a Lamborghini as well. And some of you might recognize this because this Lamborghini Cheetah is what the G.I. Joe Vamp is based on as well.
It's based on that, right?
Yeah, it's on the same vehicle. Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't quite the Beetle, but it was this thing.
It's a big thing, isn't it, Jesse?
It is a big thing. And what the thing I loved about it was, so again, my dad said, "Oh, I've got this thing. You go and build it. And it was like,
Well,
it was like going
can I
from
just stop you
Lego.
then right there? So that's what you, because I never got RC cars. So you got it, and it was, you had to build it yourself to race it, if you will.
It was
I never
basically
knew
a
that.
kit. Yeah, it's a full kit. So this was like going from Lego to this, and again, my mind was blown. It was like, wow,
Okay.
this is like big boy mechanics now I've got to. So yeah, you build it, you can paint it, of course. I think my dad probably painted all the stuff. And then of course you drive the damn thing. So I actually managed to get all the batteries charged up and everything. So I'm going to try and turn it on. It's all gone a bit. Hang on. I need to turn on the receiver. There we go. Right, I've got it turned on now. So I just remember these from the good old days. So yeah, you've got your steering, and then come on. Ah, hang on. You just need to connect the battery. 2 seconds. Oh, this is what it was like in the day. I remember this was a bit like BMX, where there was like car parks nearby, and in the evening when everybody's gone from the car park, everybody would go down to the car park with their Tamiya RC cars. I don't know if anyone else did this, and you'd all go with your different cars, and then you just set up ramps and everything, and these things move.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And these things flew around the car park at really high speed. I absolutely love this.
Did you get anything like that, Jesse? Did you get anything like that?
No, I never had any remote controlled cars. They were a bit too pricey for our family. And not available. Like you'd have
dad just splashing out. He's like, "Yeah, I'll take the big one."
Yeah. And you'd have to travel to a big city to find them. They just weren't readily available.
So ET says, one thing we've learned tonight is that Dave's dad was brilliant. He was stuff.
Yeah, you know what? You're not wrong. And when I look back now, you're not wrong. And it was, everybody had all the buggies and stuff. This thing though was so fragile that as soon as you did one jump, the body would just break. Everything would just break off of it.
So where did you find that then to look like that?
This one I got off eBay many years ago. Right. It was one of the first things I tried to find. My dad actually had, so talking about boxes and stuff in the loft and what have you, my dad still had our original cheetah with the box, everything. It was up in his loft, and I found this one and I bought it, and I went over to my dad and I said, look what I've got. Do you remember this? And he went, yep. And I said, you still got your one, haven't you? You still got it up in the loft, haven't you? And he went, no, I threw it away a couple of years ago. Oh, I couldn't believe it. He cleaned out the loft and he just chucked the whole thing away.
Heartbreaking.
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
I think that what it is though, I think our parents had a different up here than we did, because they were like, once it's finished, it's a toy. Once it's done, it's done. Do you know what I mean? And
it was in the loft for years. He had it in the loft. It even gone through a house move, and I was just a couple of years too late to say, "Oh, Dad, do you remember this? Do you have it?" No,
yeah,
it was gone. I couldn't believe
Scuba
it.
Pete. Oh, I bet you couldn't. Hi, Scoobs. Nice to see you, pal. Awesome, man. Jesse, what is your number 2, pal?
So mine. So earlier I had mentioned when I was talking about micro machines that there's another scale called Action Fleet, and that's the scale where you could put little 1-inch pilots.
Yeah, Scuba Pete got me the Imperial Shuttle of that, and it's the first time I've ever seen Action Fleet. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And it was an ingenious way for Galoob to skirt Hasbro, because Hasbro had the license for action figures that could fit inside ships, essentially.
Right.
This was about as big as Galoob could get away with without incurring Hasbro's wraths and their lawyers. And they use this skill for a number of things. So Star Wars is where it started, though technically It started in 1988-89 when they did the Army gear, because this was the first vehicle of that size.
Yes, sir.
And then Star Wars, they also did Starship Troopers. They did the scale for Aliens and Predator. They also did it for my favorite toy line, Battle Squads, which are 1998 is when they got released. And there's no licensing with these. So it saves Galoob money at a time they needed to save money.
So let me these sort of planes, then they're just generic. They're not after a plane, or is that being badly saved on the license?
These are based on real world aircraft.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, they're just unlike Star Wars and Starship Troopers, Aliens. You have to pay a licensing fee.
The copyright fee, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Galoob was struggling because there was no new Star Wars product after 1997.
Yeah.
And we knew that The Phantom Menace was coming out in 99, but Galoob had to renew the license, which was expensive for a small company.
Yeah.
So they were struggling for cash. And by doing a military line, there's no royalties to pay. And there's a lot of nostalgia for this, because this was the last toy line I played with as a kid. And it was the first toy line I started collecting again, I think roughly about 17 years later after college.
So what made you go back? Just simply the love of him?
I had a bookshelf and I wanted something to be on the shelf with the books. And I thought, it'd be cool to have small model planes. And then I remembered, well, that last toy line I had were basically model planes, but they were cheap and they're toys. But it was kind of the right toy at the right time, because I was transitioning out of toys at this age. But I was transitioning into model building.
Right, got you.
And this was something that, yes, technically is a toy and I could play with it a little bit. But if friends came over, they would just see this with the other models and not think of anything. And, it was just a way for me to kind of let go and say, this is a transition toy. But years later, I wanted some of these for my shelf, for my bookshelf, and I didn't stop collecting these, and that led me to collect other things.
I'll just pick up another one. I'll be all right. Yeah.
And Action Fleet is more than just Galoob. Some other ships that fit the scale is in 2003, Joyride did the Colonial Viper.
Nice.
And you can open it and put a pilot in it. And then Mattel 2 years ago did the Buzz Lightyear toy line, which also fits that scale. And it's careful. And it's a scale that I love. And my number 2 is I have a very unique piece in my collection. So in 2016, I believe it was, I was on eBay looking for more Battle Squad, and I saw this F-16 Falcon.
Ooh, lovely.
It's a beautiful piece. And it comes with pilot, and unlike the other planes that came with a pilot and a mechanic, this one came with a ground trooper holding a field radio.
Oh, cool.
Hey, so did you ever get into these, David? Did you ever get into them?
No, I didn't. No.
The thing is, I had trouble finding information about the Falcon. And it was a few years later, I realized this is a production sample from Wave 2 that got canceled. Oh. Because in 1998, Galoob was bought up by Hasbro.
Yeah.
And was basically told by Hasbro, and this was confirmed by one of the toy designers I had spoken to. Hasbro bought Galoob and basically told them, we're going to take, keep making your Star Wars stuff because the Phantom Menace comes out in a year. Your other stuff, keep the Micro Machines because the boys buy it. Keep the Pound Puppies. Keep these Spice Girl dolls because the girls are buying it. Everything else, scrap it. You don't get to touch any of those other lines. You are just our Micro Machine Star Wars people now.
Yeah.
And for years, I just didn't, I had this beautiful piece, and people in my collecting community agreed with me. Yes, this is a production sample, but I had nothing to demonstrate that. They just had to take my word for it. Until late last year, when I saw this on eBay, the 1999 Buyer's Guide, which this is the year that they sell the toys. So they're making this in 1998. And I got excited because I'd never seen this one before. And sure enough, they have Wave 1 of the battle squads. But at the very bottom
There it is.
my F-16.
Ah, so cool. That's so cool.
Including the stealth bomber was also in the wave 2, the MiG-21 fish bed, the M60 tank. They were all in wave 2 that got scrapped. But I finally have documentation to demonstrate this toy.
Yeah.
There's only a couple of them. I've only seen one other one. And it's a one-of-a-kind piece, essentially.
Amazing.
Kind of. Because, Galoob went through the trouble of making this beautiful mold.
Yeah.
Well, across the pond in the UK, Galoob was making a playset, a Micro Machine military playset for the UK audience. And it was all, it's a big playset. And all the, the figures and the tanks and everything are real small. But they wanted a piece to go with it. So this looks familiar.
Nice.
They took the F-16. They made the canopy opaque.
Even the camouflage is the same, but a different color.
Yep.
Wow.
They screwed in the cockpit so kids wouldn't think it would come with a pilot, because it didn't. And then it came with this flight stick. And these are not hard to find. I have 2 of them, and you can find them on eBay. I just went and bought the full playset for like $100 shipped from the UK. But I just think it's really neat that this production sample that I have, that's kind of one of a kind, I found it later in the UK market. There's someone on eBay right now trying to sell this for $6,000. I can tell you, you don't.
France.
They're not. There's plenty of these ones.
Is that you, Jesse, that's doing that?
I gotta admit, I know someone in Colorado.
It's a UK seller.
Is it Adam Berry? Is it Adam Berry? That's amazing.
I did see the F-117 Nighthawk. Actually, when I bid for this in 2016, I think I paid $60, which for me at the time, just out of college, I thought this is way too much for a toy.
Yeah.
Everything else I got was mint in box for like $10. Today, if you want this loose, people are going to be charging you $50 to $60 for it.
Wow.
But
I want to assume for them.
I thought 60 was way too much for this, only to realize later what this was. The F-117 Nighthawk was also up, and I let it go at 70.
Wow.
And someone has it and was trying to sell it for like 5,000 and then dropped the 2,500.
Oh, really? Cheap.
And no one was buying it because nobody knows about this line.
No, that's probably why I'm so shocked by it, Jesse, because I'm like, what for them, But they are cool, aren't they, Dave? They are.
They are. I noticed, Jesse, on the pamphlet there, the brochure, there's some helicopters as well. So do you have any helicopters?
Yes, I have the. Let me pull them out. So in Wave 1, they did do the Apache, the Apache.
Nice.
So Wave 1 is basically, so you have the P-51, the F-4 Phantom, if I can focus, the Tiger, the Marine APC, the German 190, the Sherman tank, the Merkava, and the MiG-19 Farmer, and the Warthog. The F-117, the M60, the MiG-21 Fishbed, and the F-16 were from the canceled wave. They had these smaller play sets, and these first 4 were released in Wave 1. Wave 2 canceled these ones, the 4 on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just the toys you like; it's this sort of history that you like about it, Jesse. Yeah.
I have every. Language, definitely. I love Galoob. It's my favorite company. I have every trade, like Buyer's Guide and Trade Fair catalog between 1979 to 2000 or 99, except for like 4. But the one the one that made me sad, and I think will make Adam very sad as well, is they had a prototype for an F-14 Tomcat with an ejector seat, a button that can launch the ejector seat, as well as the Hind gunship.
Oh, look at the gunship! Yeah.
So these were never made. No one's even found a prototype of these or anything.
I've only seen the F-16 and the F-117 stealth bomber.
Right.
I've never seen the other ones.
Impressive, man. Impressive. Really cool. I love it. You learn so every day. Biker Scout says, I remember getting the Tamiya
Hornet, yeah.
But when I opened it, I was disappointed as it was in kit form. I had to wait another month. Can you imagine these old man? I'll do it next week. I'll do it.
That was the thing. That was the beauty of those cars, right? Because they came in kit form. So, of course, what happens? Secondary market, you go and customize the hell out of them.
Yeah. Is that what you could do with them anyways? Do a lot of people make them faster and make them this and that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Battle Squads never really hit the UK. It was a bigger thing in the States, says Adam. F-16 Falcon is a training jet these days. Great little jet. Now that's doing your homework, Jesse. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, awesome. I mean, and before we get to number ones as well, again, I want to thank these two. I have loved tonight. I've loved it. Absolutely brilliant. And you can find Jesse's Instagram and obviously Vintage Toy Rush is YouTube channel. It's in the description. So if you'd like to either follow Jesse or sub to BTR, that'd be awesome. Yeah, Jesse, it's extremely rare. Any pre-production samples are, right? I remember that joystick playset. Scuba Pete got our Lucy one from the 90s. It was exactly the same thing, but it had a TIE fighter on it. And the TIE fighter would shoot out little discs and you'd press it in it. You know what I mean? If you would have shown that, I would have gone, got it from Lucy's View and showed you that. So I've seen that type of look before, you know, where you stick a vehicle on it. Now, does it shoot off on that? Is that what it was meant to do? Or... You know, on your joystick, Jesse, that one on the joystick, did the plane shoot off it or did it?
Oh. Sorry, when you were saying joystick, I was thinking the retro video games.
Oh, right. All right.
It does have a missile. It's misplaced. I have to go find it. But it does have lights and sounds because it's the 90s. Everything does. And it has a light feature because the playset has a vehicle that if the light hits it, it pops part of the vehicle off as if it was shot by the plane.
Got you.
But yes, it does have lights and sounds.
Wow. Can I ask you another question? Why is it so expensive on the second? Were they very rare to get hold of? Or were these not like mass produced like other things were?
I think there's tons of them. If you go on eBay and look for Battle Squads, there's tons of listings.
Right.
It's just people, I think, feel that they should be more expensive because they're trying to offload what they have. I think it's a symptom of COVID or post lockdown. People just have this stuff. They see collectors. They think I need to, I could sell this for like a lot of money. There's like 30 of these on eBay right now. There's no reason for them to be more than like $15. But you want a mint and box one, people are starting to learn about these and they want to collect them because they're neat. But it's just really hard to start collecting now because everyone wants top dollar for everything. And I was lucky when I was collecting them in like 2015, 16, because again, they were like $10 mint in box.
Brilliant. Dave, did I do your number 2? Have I done your number 2?
Yes, that was the cheetah.
I've got it. Right. So GB Models has turned up. Hello, GB Models. Thanks for coming in. That's really nice of you. Adam says, sexual planes. I'm loving this. Joystick means different things. Well, would you have called it a joystick, Dave? That's what it is.
Yeah, I would have called it a joystick.
Joystick. Here we go. So, Connor, thank you, Connor. That's really nice. If you follow Jesse on Insta right there, so it's in the description. But good old Connor has put it up. Only a lot of them on US eBay. Battle Squads rarely come up in the UK. Wow, fascinating. Awesome collections tonight, lads. The latest. Cheers, Ops. Right, let's get to the number ones. And I've got Jess up there. So, Jesse, what's your number 1, buddy? Cheers, Connor. And there's Dave's YouTube channel right there. Thank you, Cons.
So we're sticking with with Action Fleet toys,
right?
And we're sticking with Star Wars. this set is cool. This is a play set. It's important to me for two different reasons. One, the cool factor and the fact I played with it as a child.
Yeah.
The other is it marks a developmental milestone. So I'm going to show the play set first. This is the Action Fleet Hoth play set.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
awesome.
cool. Look at that. The artwork alone on the box is awesome.
Yeah, isn't that great artwork?
Yeah.
And we'll show you in a minute. But the reason the artwork is great, where is it? There's some initials right here.
Got it. Ralph McQuarrie.
Because
Wow.
Galoob paid him to do the artwork for these toys, for these boxes.
So these pictures are actually official for Galoob's. They're not for Lucasfilm ones.
Yes,
Yeah.
Galoob paid McQuarrie. I don't know who owns the rights. Maybe Lucasfilm owns the rights to them, but Ralph McQuarrie did do the artwork specifically for these play sets. And I can show you as well, because I have a loose one. It's on the toy itself.
So yeah, look at that.
That's
And of
amazing.
course, Galoob, everything folds up perfectly. So if I push a button here, so this is the front side showing the trenches. There's a tower here. And then on the back side is the inside of Echo Base
Oh,
with the operating frame.
Yeah, that's cool.
And there's a back to tank that you could put Luke in. And it's funny because there are some faces here. You can barely see it. These are the toy designers. They just put their face into the gear.
Yeah,
But
it's awesome.
I played with this playset so much. Now, I mentioned that it was a developmental milestone. So I was getting to the age where basically, well, my birthday is just after Christmas by a couple of days. So the big stuff I got at the end of the year.
Got you. Your
If
mum
I
and
want-
dad say, don't give it him for Christmas, it's his birthday. Oh, nightmare. Yeah.
It's unlike children who maybe have a May birthday or a June birthday where they can get, big stuff split through the year.
Yeah.
My parents would still buy me stuff. We would go to the big city once a month when my dad got paid to load up on groceries and such. But I really wanted this. I fell in love with it right away.
Yeah, it's
And
cool.
it was about the age where my mom said, we'll get that for you next time we come here, but I'm going to have you do some work for it. That age.
Yeah.
And it's that age where chores are now expected.
Yeah, but you told us where you grew up. What were you doing? Like shaving sheep or putting
yeah. What are you doing?
I'm not well.
Facing horseshoes or something?
Dave had to wash a car. I bet you didn't do that.
No, what I did for work was my dad, as I mentioned earlier, my dad did some jobs on the side, and that include carpentry.
Yeah.
And so I would be the one to go take a nail punch and punch in all the nails, and then take the putty, and then take the sander later and sand all the wood pieces. And then I would sweep up the shop.
Yeah.
My dad put me to work. I would also do stuff in the backyard, some landscaping and such. So it was a time in my life where it was no longer, yes, I'll get you something because you're a child and I want to give you something. It's now you have to work a little bit. Now you're older, and if you want this, you have to kind of work for it. It was also the time when layaway was a real big thing in the United States.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we didn't
I
use layaway.
love that they do that. I don't know whether they do that in England or not, but when you got little kids, they'll set up this thing in Walmart, Dave, and from September you can buy what you want and then pay percentage every.
Right.
So by the time Christmas comes, it's so. I thought that was a lovely thing to do. That, you know, especially for young families or whatever, they can get the kids what they want and just keep paying it off, and then you get the receipt, don't you, Jesse? And they'll mark it off and give you a new receipt. I think that's a really good idea.
Move, because families we put off from making big purchases.
Yeah.
But I think it's this mentality of, I'm going to hand you this big item and I'm going to pay a third of it. And I'm going to come back next month and pay a third, and come back another month and pay a third.
Yeah.
I think a lot of families would just put off buying the big item in general. But the fact that you're handing it to the counter at the back of the store and knowing that this thing that you have is going to be yours encourages families to make those bigger purchases at these stores.
Yeah. I think that was up for a majority of family. I mean, because like I said, when we were kids, things like an AT-AT or that was always a Christmas present. It wasn't really do you know what I mean? Figures and so forth you can get whenever, but like your big stuff was always, that's what you're getting for Christmas, you know. And I think that's why I have such a love for it, because Christmas comes and, you know what I mean, there's your big stuff, if you will, you know.
Yeah. And in addition to the off one, I had to have Yavin.
Oh.
So again, I've got a picture for that one too, which is right there. So this is all Ralph McQuarrie's artwork, right, Jesse?
Yep. All there are 4 of these, and yes, this is all his work, which is why it looks so good. And I think it's a brilliant idea. You want to draw kids into buying a toy, you have Ralph McQuarrie do the artwork for it.
The thing is, as well, I mean, his artwork, I would say it's up there with the stuff he did for Lucasfilm for the movies. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's not like it's cheapened a bit by, oh, it's a toy, so I'll just half-arse it. Well, I mean,
what I also,
yeah, exactly, Dave. Yeah.
What I also love is it's the ships from the film, so it's not his conceptual artwork. It's him taking the vehicles and the bases and everything from the films and actually drawing in his style. So you get kind of an updated version of his work. And the next one, I don't have the Death Star playset with me, but that's the next piece of artwork. And you can see how menacing Darth Vader is up on his tie back there. Just he has that very sharp angle that makes him look real aggressive.
He's saying to himself, "Where's my ladder?"
and you can see this is the start of the Battle of Yavin, because you can see the X-wings, the Y-wing, the Falcon coming in to start the battle.
Yeah, brilliant number ones, brilliant. And then there's this one right here.
So this was not an Action Fleet playset. This is a Micro Machine playset. Right. This is the Double Takes Death Star, which was this round Death Star that if you grab the top and pulled it, it would reveal this long exterior of Tatooine on the inside.
Ralph McQuarrie, look at that at the bottom. Really?
And that's why you see you got to little Ronto with it, and some of those other figures.
So when was this actually drawn? Was this drawn in the 90s by him then? It must have been.
Yep, Galoob paid him to do the artwork for these toys.
I never knew that.
And Action Fleet started in 95, just to give you a time scale.
I need to ask you another question. What is this?
Oh, I forgot about that. That was for my explanation of what Action Fleet scale toys are. So when I was, holding up and showing you, I forgot that I gave you this picture so I can explain this is the scale and these are examples of that scale. Also, in the top right, you can see the modern Jazzware Micro Galaxy modern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think are beautiful. They are beautiful. I remember seeing them at Toy Fair a couple of years back, and I thought, I'm not getting involved in them. But I have bought a couple of them. I've got the Falcon for like $15 on a Walmart clearance, and the lights and the look of it, and this and that, and obviously the Imperial Shuttle, and they are fantastic.
That one in the picture is the Chase, and that is because it's painted and decoed to look like the Kenner X-wing.
Wow. Oh yeah, it's white. I can see. I know what you mean. Yeah.
The guns are black. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Darren, hi, Darren. I love the Galoob Star Wars toys. I still have my helmet and mask sets, play sets, and boxes. Yeah, thanks for sharing all this. It's been brilliant. Sad they haven't appreciated it like other. It's funny that, because I think that's why I asked David Adam if he collected it, because I think I always knew it was there. Maybe if I had a set, maybe an auntie or someone, I got it for Christmas or whatever, because I do always remember the little things, but I don't have anyone around me that, until I met obviously Jesse and Adam that and Usual Mike, that collected this stuff. Did you have anyone at school, Dave, that had this kind of thing?
I don't remember any of that. No, I think I remember the Micro Machines and stuff, but I don't remember those particular items.
No. I never knew about the artwork. Brilliant. Exactly, Darren. I never knew.
That's the first I've heard.
No idea. Absolutely brilliant. So thanks for sharing that with us, Jesse. The X-Wing is doing a flyby. I hope he got a good talking to later. I have that Death Stars that folds out into the micro machines, double take, and I honestly love it. But I told you that story. I bought a couple of things from a flea market ages ago, and there was a couple of things I really wanted in it. And he had a big cardboard box full of micro machine, but I don't know what his micro machine. It was the mini things. It was Jar Jar's head, Stormtrooper, Endor Village was there, and it came with the ATST and so forth. And it was the Death Star that had the X-wings that come out of it. You know, when you shut it up, it had X-wings on a stick.
Yep.
So I just put it up for $20. I just thought $20, whatever, and it went like that, right? And he gave me that thing. Hang on a minute, because I know nothing about it. But the way, basically, I just pressed send and someone, I'll buy it. And this fella come round, and he was about late 30s, early 40s, and he was asking about it and so on. I said, but it had loads of figures with it, loads of like a small speeder bike with and he absolutely loved it. And then I realized then, because I just wanted to get rid of it basically, and that's why I put it up for that price. But when he left, I thought, are these worth a lot more than this? Because the way this guy just bought it straight away, it had manuals with it. I mean, I think I put it up at that price, Dave and Jesse, because I didn't know whether it was complete or not. I wasn't into it. Do you know what I mean? So I had a look online, but I just put it up. But it's funny how there's some point I'm going around like that just to get to my point. I'm sorry, boys. My point is, it's people like yourselves that sort of, there's still a collectors out there for this type of stuff.
Yes,
absolutely. Collectors for everything.
I have the Jaguar X-Wing, still have a box action fleet. Let me just put Dave there a minute. Who would have thought that a Shabby live stream could be so educational? Professional games. This is what happens when you get the best on. You know what I mean? This is what happens. My brother-in-law has a few of those ships, but I don't think he has any of the play sets. Well, there you go. Nice. Right, Dave, what's your number one, buddy?
Right. I gave you a video earlier. Can you run the
I'll
VT?
play that right now. I will run VTR.
Like it.
Brilliant. Right here.
All right. So in a previous life, I collected automobilia signs, and one in particular that's my favorite, which just lit up, is that rally sign, and also the Bosch sign as well. So I found that rally sign at Zabuli Jumble, and I made the frame for it, and I did all the backlighting and then mounted it on the wall. My favorite sign that I got, and the reason I got that is because when I was younger, there was a bike shop nearby that had that rally sign out the front. Had that actual rally sign, and the reason I love rally so much is because one of my other loves as a kid was BMX, and I had a Mark 1 rally burner. It was a mag burner, not the tough burner. So the mag burner had slightly different wheels and slightly different shape. And a few years back, well, I say a few years back, probably about 10 years ago, I decided I've got to find a Mark 1 mag burner. I found one, but it needed restoration. So me and my dad, we got together and we restored it. So I'm just going to lift off my camera here, because it's here in the room. Because that's what
you
we do.
rolled it upstairs.
I did. I'm telling you, that was hard work. These things are heavy. BMXs are supposed to be light, aren't they? But not this thing. This thing's heavy. There we go.
Oh
wow!
Look at that, Jeff. That takes you away.
Yeah, let me just.
Look at that.
There we go.
Wow.
There we go.
Now, restoring it, did you get all original parts for this, David?
Yeah, so this is back to factory. I actually looked up on the Rally have a retro site now, and they show all the bikes that they've ever sold with all the details and pictures, and this is exactly as it was from the factory. So yeah, so Mark 1 mag burner. These aren't Skyways, they're simplex wheels, so it's got 7 spokes. All the unlike modern BMXs, it had all the reflectors. It has reflectors on the wheels down here and on the back. All the pads and everything. My dad resprayed the frame. I applied all the decals and everything. You get remember those pads?
Yeah, yeah. We needed them. We did need them.
Yeah, you did need them. Yeah, and the great thing about this bike was you had these grips, these yellow grips with the blue dots. But of course, all these were replaced, weren't they? So do you remember classic names from back in the day. Oakley, do you remember the Oakley grips? The mushroom
I do.
grips?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the brakes on these were Weinman or something. But I think back in the day, I changed them for Shimano. Do you remember that name? Shimano?
Not really. No, not really.
I replaced the levers with like short ones, and they had 2 little finger grips. Does anyone remember those?
I remember I remember the little brakes. Yeah,
the little brake levers.
Yeah,
and they had 2 little sort of finger grips, which were, but basically they were just impossible to use, but they looked cool. I had to get the rally sign, of course, replaced on there. So my dad riveted that on there for me.
How hard was it? Was it to restore this? Was it a difficult thing to do, or was it fairly easy?
Actually, it wasn't that bad. The most difficult bit was finding all the pieces.
Right.
So this is the original seat. That was hard to find because there's lots of seats that look like it, but it wasn't quite, not quite the right seat. Then on the wheels here, do people remember them?
Yeah. Oh, do you remember them, Jesse? The dice that we used.
No, I've never seen those.
Oh,
The dice
that's
caps
so
there,
old school. That is so old. That is brilliant, Dave.
And then, do you remember? Did anyone go around with one of these on the front because they thought they were cool? I did. So I got one of these, but this one I didn't realize when I got it. I don't know if this is real. I have no idea. But this is signed by somebody called Craig Schofield, who was the 1985 world champion. I have no idea if that's actually his signature or not.
But that's really cool that goes with it, though. That it gives it this aesthetic, doesn't it? That is, oh my life. What?
So yeah, this thing was my wheels back in the day, and I just went everywhere on it.
Did you ever does your son ever fancy a go now, Dave? Would you let him if you thought, let's have a go on that?
Well, he had a BMX,
right?
So he was into bikes, and he had a BMX, but he had a modern BMX, and the modern BMX compared to that, when they're side by side, are really different. They're much lower, the modern ones, and they're stripped right back. I mean, no one has reflectors. They're not cool at all, are they? And when I got that restored, there is actually a BMX track fairly nearby,
right.
And I thought, right, we're going to take both the BMXs down to the BMX track, and
what a big experience!
So we arrived. I got we were on the back of the car, got them off the car, rode up to the BMX track, and there's like a group of lads there, and so my son rides up first, and they're like, nod, kind of, yeah, cool. I ride up. Honestly, they frigging laughed their heads off.
What's he got?
It's like it was as if I turned up on it's like I turned up on the steam train or something. I mean, they couldn't believe what the hell.
They went, look at his bike, forget his bike, look at his Walkman. Why has he got an aerial on that thing? I don't know. That's a brilliant story. Straight away, Unslot. And I was like in the chat going, no, that's the coolest thing ever. I can just imagine all these kids like, what's that? What's that
they
thing?
thought, what is that? They honestly thought it was so
that's brilliant.
Oh dear. Anyway, that thing was the love of my life when I was a kid. Absolutely loved it. And I
So go back to that then. So you found, is it because you simply found it and then it just dawned in your head? Right, I've got this. Now let's try and restore it.
No, I actually went out to find one. Because
you actually went out to find it to restore one, right? Got it.
This is before I kind of got into all this stuff here. So it's like, I'm gonna, because I was much more into sort of automobiles, and that's why I had the signs and stuff.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's
a shame you don't live where me and G-Force live, because you find nothing but gas to sides and all everywhere you go.
Yeah,
because we're especially out here where I'm in the farmland. Everywhere we go, you'll see signs everywhere. Yes, Dave. BMX, love it. Mag wheels were ace. Bucket easy to find, which is bucket easy mind, which is annoying. Yeah, these lads are buckle. Sorry, he says. Blimey, says Kieran. Wow, that's a definite blast from the past. Yeah, that's a brilliant. I had an MK Rally Burner, but got Skyway mags for it later on, which came with spoke wheels originally. All is forgiven. Not offset Skyways, still cool as. I did take my reflectors. Yeah, because he's got his old BMX as well. Do you know what I mean? I remember Reynolds has got his as well. And I know Reynolds has got one. Wow, I can just imagine VTR cruising around the estate on his BMX, listening to the quote on his Panasonic TV. Don't anyone ever tell me VTR's not cool, because I think after tonight, we all know how cool he is. Yellow and blue wheels, always on my Christmas list, but never got one. Here we go.
No.
Shimano brakes were elite. Love
Yeah.
it. A true
Shimano,
passion
yeah.
project. It means more because you did it with your dad as well, Dave.
Yeah,
Like you and your dad did
absolutely,
this.
yeah. That was the last restoration project we did, because we did. My dad was an engineer, right? And it's funny, Jesse, you talking about woodwork. When I was at school, I decided to take woodwork as one of the lessons, and I said to my dad, "Oh, I've chosen woodwork." He turned around to me and he said, "You haven't. That's for girls. You need to do metalwork." And you know what? I did actually change, and I did metalwork instead.
You did. You went, "Oh, forget it. I'm not doing it."
Anyway, my dad was a bit like that sometimes.
And it's funny because we're in Jesse's neck of the woods, probably like, woodwork, cool, Jesse. Do you know what I mean?
It's all we have. We don't have metal. We have trees.
Do you know what? I love woodwork. I love carpentry. So don't get me wrong. My dad was a bit old school sometimes, but yeah. So he was, he worked on on ships basically. He did the bridges for ships and stuff, radar and all that kind of stuff. So it's very mechanical. So yeah, we go around. So
you grew up with it regardless.
And just restore stuff.
Yeah. So in other words, the engineering stuff came to you, but it's in your house anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that was the last restoration project we did. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing these stories, man. They've been brilliant. I didn't have the number plate on the front, but my childhood BMX was fully chromed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, different. I didn't like the modern ones. They suck balls. They are. I didn't know that. I would have thought that BMX would have stayed the same type of frame kind of thing, but that seat looks like a ball buster says gap.
Yeah.
What a fantastic and I can't say that. Electric top 5 picks from Jesse and VTR. Another awesome episodes of Shabby's. I've absolutely loved it, and YouTube proved again why I love doing this show on a Monday. Your stories and your stuff. I think it's nice because it's like I've said for the past 3 or 4 episodes, people are showing so much different stuff, but I think it's the passion of yourselves that comes through. So even if it's something we didn't collect or didn't have, listening to your story, it's like, look at what we've learned tonight. We've learned loads of stuff. So thank you both so much. Great contributions from all the chat too. Wouldn't be the same without the chat. I've always said that. So love it. What a top-notch show, gents. Top 5. Well, thank you so much. Before we go, please please subscribe. We have a Patreon if you'd like to join that. Helps the channel grow so I can make live streams like this. We've got ZSR coming up. We've got the pub quiz coming up. I know next week. Do you want me to tell you who's on next week? Who's on top 5 next week? Would you both like to know? Next week, we have Keith Guppy and Only One Kenobi sharing their top 5s next week. So we got our Only One and there. Oh, look who else has just turned up. Oh, well, thank you, Toyple. You'll like it tonight, Dave. It's been honestly, Dave and Jesse have shown some awesome stuff. They really, really have. Amazing shows once again. Thank you, TJC. But have you two got anything coming up, anything you'd like to share before we go? Watch Dave's, obviously, his restoration video on the Sandcrawler. That's brilliant. But yourselves? Packed both of them. Look at
I'm like, I put stuff out when stuff's ready. So I'm sure I'm going to head to Sandown with obviously a lot of other people on Saturday. So no doubt we'll do some.
Sundance is Saturday, David. Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
What about yourself, Jesse? Anything coming up, my friend?
No. On Instagram, it's really what I feel like showing from my collection. I'm going to go do another road trip for the rest of the week. I have the week off, and then I'll be back next Saturday, and I might post some more stuff.
Where you live, though, I mean, it's the place. I'd never be in my house if I went.
Amazing.
It's funny you said something before, David, about where we're never in. You've seen my land outside, and it goes for acres, and it's got forests, and it's loads of lakes. I mean, it's beautiful. If I was a kid here, I don't think I'd ever be in. It's hard to get my kids out. It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing. Do you know what I mean? If I was a kid, I always think when I'm doing something outside, I always think I'd have loved to have lived here as a kid. I'd have killed to live here, but my kids like, do you want to go out? No.
There's pros and cons because the pro is obviously you have beautiful outdoors to run and play in. The con is the United States doesn't believe in a thing called public transportation. So if you want to go to the next town, you have to wait till you're 16, 17 to get a busted car to then go.
Best cars, all those
somewhere
the
else.
busted cars with the everyone remembers the knackered old cars at the
Because
start, don't they?
the next town is probably 30, 40 miles, not here in Denver, but you know, California, Wyoming. The next town would be like a half an hour to an hour's drive away.
Got you. Yeah, it's a different world, isn't it? I suppose you're right. So it's great meeting you, Jesse, says Mr. B. Matt's Collection said it would be so hard to figure out a top 5. Well, like I've said to everybody, and a lot of people got in touch. If you want to come on and show your top 5, I'd love to have you on. Everyone's welcome at Shabby's. You know they are. Great stream, awesome guests. So everyone's saying goodbye. Everyone's saying excellent. Sandcrawler restoration. So VTR's newest video is right there. Milky Way Skywalker, hi, pal. Been listening in the background. Great show. I've almost got all the Star Wars Action Fleet vehicles. It's funny that I'm glad you showed them, Jesse, because it's surprising how many other people are like, yeah, they're awesome. I've got them and so forth. So, and lads, make sure you follow Jesse on it. Connor, man, you're doing a great job. Thanks, buddy. Make sure you follow Jesse on Insta. Right, we are done and dusty for another week. We'll see you all soon. Say goodnight, fellas.
Good night, folks.
See ya.